Okay, folks, we are back. Another episode of Street to Strategy, episode 35. Obviously, you guys can get a copy of my book. It's currently on Barnes & Noble. Welcome to the show that never ends. I actually have two new guests today. Let me give them an intro. Some stories are told through headlines. Others are etched into the fabric of human experience through courage, curiosity, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of the truth. Today, we welcome two storytellers whose lives have been devoted not simply to documenting the world, but to uncovering the heartbeat beneath it. For more than 2 decades, they have stood between the camera and beyond the noise, chasing stories that reveal who we are at our best, our worst, and everything in between. Together, they have built a remarkable legacy in television, film, and true crime storytelling, one rooted in fearless exploration and an unwavering belief in the power of human connection. He is an Emmy-nominated producer, writer, and director, has spent the last 20 years bringing compelling real-life stories to millions across networks like A&E, CBS, PBS, ESPN, National Geographic, Discovery, SyFy, and the History Channel. From war zones in Afghanistan to patrol cars navigating the dangerous streets of America. From the intensity of the UFC to interviews with cultural icons and infamous criminals alike. He has lived at the intersection of history, humanity, and storytelling. His work reminds us that truth is often found in the places most people are afraid to look. Alongside him is his wife, an accomplished executive producer and creative force whose career has touched some of the most influential platforms in entertainment today. From Warner Brothers and Netflix to HGTV and the Weather Channel, she has shaped stories with both intellect and heart. Armed with a master's degree in television production from Emerson College and a background in international relations, she brings a rare blend of vision, empathy, and a global perspective to every project she leads. Together, this extraordinary husband and wife team has continued to redefine true crime storytelling. In 2025, they sold 2 powerful crime stories, What Happened to Noah to Netflix and My Uncle's Escaped Alcatraz to the Discovery Channel. And through their hit podcast, Partners in True Crime, they have captivated audiences around the world, rising into the top 80 podcasts globally. But beyond the awards, the accolades, and the credits, what truly defines them is their shared belief that every person carries a story worth telling. And that storytelling itself has the power to illuminate darkness, inspire hope, and preserve humanity in a world desperate for understanding. Today, we have the privilege of stepping into that journey with them. Their journey has brought them to my table. This is Rob and Cindy Dorfmann. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay. That was an amazing intro there.
What a great intro.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to keep that recording.
Well, I am an Emmy winner. I will just
She's an Emmy winner.
Yeah.
I'm only Emmy nominated.
Okay, yeah. Well, and for the folks at home, I had went on their podcast and, the best way I could describe you guys are true heavy hitters when it comes to this stuff. I've only been doing a podcast for 7 months, and I look at your guys' stuff, and and just 3 words come to mind: impressive, most impressive, man. You guys are, your game is very elevated. Let's get to it.
Okay,
Rob.
Yeah.
When you look back on the road that carried you from the curious young man in Pennsylvania to an Emmy-nominated storyteller standing in the middle of history, what moments feel sacred to you now?
Oh my God, that's a big question. It's a big question. Well, I'm actually from New Jersey. Right?
Oh, you're New Jersey?
I went to school in Pennsylvania, but that makes sense. But that's huge. That's a huge question because I just felt like I've been on this weird journey. It's like when I was in high school, I was an athlete. Okay, and then when I got to college, I wasn't an athlete anymore, so I had to find a way to kind of reinvent myself.
Yeah.
And so I gravitated to television and film, primarily because I really didn't know what else to do.
Gotcha.
I wasn't good at math. I wasn't a great student. I was my father instilled in me, he was like a cinephile. He loved movies. So I was always dragged down. I could stay up late with him if I watched a classic movie with him.
Gotcha.
So he that part of it, and my dad was a salesman, and came from the streets of New York. Grew up not too far from Henry Hill from Goodfellas.
Okay.
So he always he was a talker, and he loved to tell stories and stuff like that, and completely unlike me. I mean, I like story, but I'm not a big verbose. My dad loved to tell stories. So I think that's where it started, because I used to hear about all these great stories in the streets of New York with him and his guys and stuff like that, and how they'd get in trouble or whatever and stuff like that, and all the characters that were, it was like the narration from Goodfellas when they're describing each of the guys when they're walking through the river. Yeah. There's Tommy Two Tones, and there's Frank. He was always talking like that. And he said, and everybody, all my dad's drinking partners were my uncles. I was like, I have like 20 uncles, So it was, that part of it was really fascinating. And then the aspect of all these movies and storytelling that, I kind of cherished in that. And so, and also I was very visual. Very visual. Like I could learn things like, wasn't a great reader, wouldn't sink in. If I saw it, steel trap.
Yeah.
I can remember everything. I was always looking and being observant about things. I would pick up things that people wouldn't pick up. And that served me really well when I realized I could use a camera with that, because I would be sitting there with a camera behind the scenes. And initially I thought I wanted to be in front of the camera. And I was like doing like the university news breaks and stuff like that, but I really didn't like it. I didn't feel comfortable. I felt much more comfortable behind the camera, kind of controlling the elements and then just doing all that stuff. And then when I got out of college, I mean, to answer your question as far as the seminal moments, I think when in my internship, I worked for PBS right out of college, and I got to work at a Pavarotti concert at the Madison Square Garden.
Oh, nice.
And it was one of the pivotal moments there. It was kind of like maybe like aha. I was like, wow, I'm like, get close to greatness. I was a PA, production assistant, so whatever I needed. So like literally, I would say about 2 hours before the concert at Madison Square Garden, the executive producer came to me and said, listen, because I was like his person, and he gave me like $2,000 in cash. And he goes, go get a gigantic magnum of champagne, the biggest one they have, and go put it in Pavarotti's dressing room.
That's what he likes.
Whatever. It's just a symbol thing. It's like, and then with the rest of the money, go buy as many roses and do it for Joan Sutherland, who was like the soprano that was going to be singing with him. Go put it in there. They're not going to be in there. Just drop it off and leave. So I'm running around the city, and had no idea, had no clue. It's friggin' hot, and I'm like dressed night, so everything's sticking to me. And I walk across, I see this liquor store, just gigantic bottle magnum of champagne. Go in there and buy that. Go there, and I'm sitting there running through the city with all this stuff. And then I go to place it inside their dressing room. Joan Sutherland, she wasn't there, so I put the roses there like that. So right when I put the and I'm dripping wet. I mean, like I'm like in a shirt, tie, and stuff, like dripping wet. And as soon as I place the magnum down, I hear the toilet flush. And Pavarotti comes, waddling out. He's a big,
because he was a big man.
Big man. And he hadn't even been outside yet, and he's already sweating. And he took one look at me, and he just sit there. He didn't even say anything to me. He just sat me down, because I must have looked like hell. And he got me a glass of water, and he just sit there and relax. He goes, you're sweating. He's like, you're okay. And then he thanked me for the champagne. I go, well, I didn't buy it. And he goes, just thank you. And he sat me down. And so he just sat me down there, and I got to watch him warm up in the dressing room. And I'm like, I was a big fan of classical music, never been exposed to opera before. And I got to see him like the guy.
I was going to say, for the folks at home, though, who don't know who Pavarotti is, do yourself a favor and Google this man, because probably one of the greatest contemporary opera singers in history, I would think.
To put it in perspective, he's the Michael Jackson of opera singers.
Big time.
In the last 100 years.
He was for sure. Yeah.
So that I was enamored with that, and it was like being close to that kind of talent and greatness, and he treated me so nice. And he even like when he went out on stage right beforehand, he saw me like in the wings. He had to walk right past me, and like he's got a stadium full of people, and then he walks me and he stops. He goes, "Oh, you look much better." He's like that, and he just right before, and then he goes out, chant, crowd, sings, kills it.
Yeah.
And so that was a significant moment. And then another one was I was deciding. I was in New York, deciding whether or not I was going to come to LA or not, and I was actually doing some acting like off-Broadway acting. I was in plays and stuff like that. And ironically, the way I got it is that I was working for a film company, and they would send me out on these to go look at these casting workshops and these plays to go find actors.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to go to all of them.
Yeah,
so
go
he goes,
scout some talent.
Go scout some talent. And so I went to one of them, and then I started talking to one of the guys after that, and he invited me to an acting class, started doing that, and so I started getting cast in little plays. And then I got, then I worked on a movie, which brought me out to Sharon, Pennsylvania, and I met a bunch of people from LA. The whole crew was from LA, all the actors from LA, and I was like, wow, and I made a lot of friends. And so they were like, you got to come out, you got to come out. So I went back east, New Jersey, and then I said, I'm going to come out. I went out, I got cast in a movie. So like Roger Corman-esque movie, these low budget, like shoot them in 6 days. Became friends with a lot of guys that were doing films there, and we were doing those. And then I finally decided, listen, I'm seeing how the sausage is made. I can do this, and I can do it on my own. So I started doing my own short films, and I really liked it. I really liked the behind the scenes. I was actually in my short films. So I was doing everything. I was directing, I was writing, and I was in them. And so, and it was getting notoriety in film festivals. I won a couple film festivals. I'm like, okay. So, that was it. So, but I had to make money. I wasn't making any money. I was when I first went out to California, I was like a personal trainer. So I was doing that, and I was training stars. I was training like some of my clients were, they're all film and TV stars and stuff like that. So it was a great way to, meet people.
Meeting people, yeah.
It was a great way to make connections. In fact, I used to train this guy named Dick Cook, who was the second man at Disney Pictures. And he was
a good person to know.
And one of the nicest men I've ever met.
Yeah.
And I remember I was telling him, I showed him the script for my short film, and he financed it.
Oh, love it.
He financed it. He gave me, he goes, what do you need to do it? And I was like, and back then I was like, I don't know, like $1,000. And he like wrote me a check right there. And I was like, wow, so great. And so that's what kind of propelled that. But I wasn't making enough money. So I figured out, and I go, how can I translate these skills that I'm accumulating here into something where I can actually make a living? Because I had just gotten married, or I just had a kid. I'm like, what am I going to do? So one of my clients was a television producer, like news producer, and she's just started working at this company that did prison documentaries, or do like a lot, hardcore. This is before the huge reality thing hit. It was like in the 90s, late 90s, mid 90s. And so she says, well, you should come check it out. They need people here. And she says, she saw my films and like that. You can translate those skills to there. So I got an interview there, and I said, well, listen, I'm a producer. I'm at the owner of the company. He goes, well, listen, I don't have any producing jobs. He goes, I need someone to answer the phones and log tapes. Back then you would like look at these VHS tapes with time codes on it, and you would sit there and type, and you would log everything in. Every 30 seconds you put a time code in, and then you would log it in, and then they would have a transcript of everything so that everybody could look at it.
Yeah.
That's how you document it, and that's how you do paper edits before you go into edit. So I started doing that, and then within a few months, I got my own show. He got me, and it was great. And the first show that I got was looking for a downed B-17 off the coast of Ireland. And it was the last weather reconnaissance flight before the D-Day invasion.
Oh, wow.
And so they were coming back, and they had to ditch because they had an engine problem. All the crew survived, and they were actually rescued by Irish fishermen. But Ireland was neutral at that point, so they weren't getting bombed. London was getting bombed. England was getting bombed. So they couldn't. They had to kind of smuggle them out of the country, because if the Germans found out, they're going to start bombing Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a great experience. So my first documentary I had to work on, not only it was an international documentary, I had to find a sunken B-17. This is all skills. Who has these skills? Nobody.
Not many.
Nobody. So I'm talking like the first phone calls, I'm talking to a French kind of Jacques Cousteau, like underwater cameraman guy. There was only one ROV. Now there's like ROVs all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
They can drop drones and the thing. There's like everything was on an umbilical, so it was attached to the boat.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like that. There was only one in the world, and I had to find this guy, get him, and he couldn't speak. It was really hard to understand him, and so it wasn't like email was great back then either. So so I had to put all this stuff together, and I had to bring out the pilot of that whole thing. He was still alive after he had survived the crash and the war was over. He went back to Ohio and had 10 kids, so he never went anywhere. He had 10 kids, never got them back. Always wanted to go back and thank the Irish people.
Yeah.
So we brought him back, and we found pieces of the plane. We got to show it to him. We actually identified there were the serial numbers from Boeing that it was the plane. So it was like, I was like, wow, I got to do all of this, and I was like probably 30 at that point. And then it just mushroomed after that.
Dude, that right there is just a killer story in itself.
Yeah.
If it is.
Yeah.
And you won a telly for that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. You do, hey,
yeah, so my first doc, I won an award.
Yeah.
dude, that's awesome,
Yeah, so-
dude. Cindy,
Yes.
what first awakened your love for storytelling? Was there a moment when you realized stories could change the way people see the world?
Oh my God. Well, I started writing my first book when I was like 5.
Wow.
So I've always told stories. That's just what I did. It's just what I always did. My father was is a stand-up comedian. So I grew up in comedy clubs in New York City, met all the major comics in the world. My dad was all over the country. He was on Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
So I grew up in that world, and I was always making little films when I was a kid, driving everybody crazy. And my dad was like, just make sure you get another degree so that you can get a job in case, whatever, because this business is crazy. So I was like, fine. So I said, all right, I'll be a journalist, just so I have that. So I got a bachelor's degree in international politics with the idea of potentially being a journalist, and then decided I was going to go work at Lucasfilm in San Francisco because I was like, I really want to make movies. I really don't want to. I didn't want to do nonfiction. I wanted to do scripted, and that's what I wanted to do. So when I ended up graduating and couldn't get a job, my dad was like, maybe you should go get your master's in TV and film. So I did. And I ended up getting my first job at NBC News.
Wow.
So it went in a huge circle. And then when I started doing journalism and I started meeting people and being out on the street and being a reporter and doing that stuff, I was like, I really enjoy people's stories. I really like hearing how people, endure things and how their resilience and everything else. So when I moved to LA, I was still in graduate school, and I was doing short films. And my professor was the producer of this movie called American History X.
Love that movie.
Yeah, it was a really
Edward
great
Norton,
story.
Man. Ed Norton in that movie is phenomenal.
Phenomenal movie. So my professor was like, you're a really talented director, and you should be a director. And I was like, okay, not realizing what I was trying to take a bite out of, which is very, very difficult. So I started doing a bunch of short films like Rom, and I won a few awards, this and that, and then ended up getting a job in development, working for studios, reading scripts, writing scripts, some bad movies I wrote, scripted movies. And then I just was like, well, you kind of just go where the tide goes when you're freelancing. You really kind of get pushed in directions that you don't really know. You kind of just have to figure it out because you have to make a living, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just like, oh, we can always on the side, always doing my own short films or writing. I must have wrote 1,000 scripts. I mean, just constantly trying to sell scripts and all this stuff. And then I got a job on a show called A Backstory, which was behind the scenes of movies. All the movies that never almost got made, who actually became Academy Award winning films. Wow. So I got to interview everyone who was a part of the movie, right? So my first producing gig, like real producing gig for AMC, was A Backstory on Rain Man.
Dude, love that movie. That movie.
I got to interview Tom Cruise, Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
I was going up to meet Dustin Hoffman at the bar at the Four Seasons, and there was a junket going on that day. And mind you, I'm a movie buff. Steven Spielberg, these are my idols. I grew up with this. So here I am. I walk in, there's Dustin Hoffman, and he's like, Cindy. And he had done his homework. He knew who I was. And I was so scared. It was my first producing job. I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go and sit down in the bar with Dustin Hoffman. He's like, come and have a drink with me. Come sit down. And I'm like, but I have to go. We have to go. Tom Cruise is coming. And he's like, who cares? He goes, Tom Cruise is here because of me. And I was like, oh, that's kind of true. Okay, I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? Tell him no? So I go sit at the bar with him. I'm totally paranoid I'm going to get fired. And everyone's taking our picture. I'm shaking. I'm like 29 years old. And we're talking for like an hour. And I'm like, oh my God, Tom Cruise is going to be upstairs. I was freaking out. So finally he's like, okay, let's go. We get into the elevator. And I swear to you, it was the most surreal moment of my life. The elevator door opens and in comes Steven Spielberg, me, Dustin Hoffman, Steven Spielberg, and Ron Howard, right? And Dustin says, oh, Steven, I want to introduce you to my friend Cindy. And I'm like, I can't even talk. I'm like, oh my God, I'm meeting my idols. This is incredible. I'm in the elevator.
Because I think Spielberg, in my opinion, greatest director of our time.
Oh my God.
No, hands down.
Hands down.
Well, Ron Howard's damn good as well.
Yeah, he's in the top 3, top 4.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
My God. It was just a surreal moment. And then when I got upstairs, Tom Cruise was there and he couldn't have been nicer. And I ended up staying there all day with Dustin Hoffman. He interviewed with me for 7 hours and did so much. I came back to the office and they couldn't believe I had gotten 7 hours with Dustin Hoffman. And he was just telling his stories. And I really loved that job. I just really enjoyed that whole interview process of like learning about their, how they were trying to get these movies made, how hard it was. So that's how I got into nonfiction. And then from there, I went on another show for National Geographic, and that's where I met my husband.
Well, you know what? Just talking to you guys, you guys both broke into probably one of the hardest businesses to get into, I think. I think it's hard.
It's really hard.
And the fact that you guys are as successful at it as you were, well, it's a testament, number one, to hard work, dedication, there's no doubt. But there is that little sliver of luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's timing.
It's timing.
It is timing. And,
timing and opportunity and recognizing when to kind of like take a leap.
He's a visionary. Okay, I married a visionary. This man, he sees things, and I'm stubborn. I'm a writer and a director and a producer. I don't want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. We were the first producers to take a podcast and make it into a television show. Up and Vanished was a big podcast. They'd solved a crime that had been like unsolved for years. And we were the first producers to put something like that into a series because it was not an easy endeavor to flip a podcast into a TV show at that time. Nobody was doing that. And after we did that, one of the cases that we were working on for the series was unresolved. And the family, we felt so bad for these people. It was a missing persons case.
Oh, yeah.
2 kids missing, 13 years. Like, it was crazy. And
in Oklahoma?
Oklahoma with
like
no
rural.
help. And my husband, like I said, this is 5 years ago. Like, I did not want to do a podcast. I was like, no, I worked my whole career to get to this point. Like, I don't want to have to now do something new. And he was like, well, I'm telling you, this is where this industry's going. And either we jump ahead of it or we're going to sink. And he couldn't have been, you've always been a visionary. Ever since I've known him, he has this ability to see the future, see what needs to be done and just kind of make that road.
I could tell you something, I'm so new in this journey, but I mean, I can't believe how quickly mine has. I mean, I just finally cracked 1,000 subscriber.
Good for you.
That was a big deal for me.
That is a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
And for me to be able to monetize YouTube and then just my TikTok and my Insta, it's like I just think in my mind, I'm like you guys. The thing, probably my gift is I have no fear. I have zero fear.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. But, you could put me in front of anybody and I'll rock and roll. But Rob,
okay.
You've stood in war zones, police cars, fight arenas, and interview rooms with some of the most notorious figures in history. How do those experiences change a person's understanding of humanity?
Oh,
that's a big question.
That is a big question. I mean, let's just put it this way. It didn't change because a lot of that stuff happened, throughout my career, a lot of it when I was younger. So I didn't know what was really happening.
Yeah.
I had a job to do. Okay. I had to go in they would for the notorious people, my first prison doc was up at Corcoran State Prison. And the only reason I got it is because another producer fell out. So I literally didn't have any time to kind of make any decisions. I was the next man up. So it wasn't like I couldn't even think. They go, I didn't know where Corcoran Prison was. I didn't know who was in there.
Yeah, Timbuktu.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I didn't even know where it was in Central California.
Yeah.
And so literally it told me on a Thursday, I think I went on a Monday. So you had no prep or anything like that. I had to figure out And I had to go up there with me and a cameraman and sound man, and come back with a show. No direction, no nothing. And I was like, well, I'm going to arm myself. And I was like, I found a cameraman who had a Steadicam, who had a jib. I'm like, I'm bringing a jib inside a prison. No one's ever done that before. I'm going to make this thing look crazy, like a movie. It wasn't going to look like a news doc. This thing was going to look like a movie. I wanted like long building shots. I want to have them in the Steadicam around the yard, going around inmates, going like that. And so that was like, to me, it was just like, I'm just looking to get great images and tell a great story. And then what I found out by being inside a prison, it's like 12,000 guys in that prison.
Oh, yeah.
There's 12,000 stories, and they're all crazy.
Oh, yeah.
They're all crazy. And I only had to get like a tiny bit, and everywhere, like when I realized my first interview of a guy is where it was an awakening for me, because they had this guy in the security housing unit. They pulled him out and they had him in a holding cell. And he was someone the same age as me.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was like 30, 31. And
don't you think this, though? How his life went like that and your life went like that?
Well, it made it even worse is that he was, the way he got in. Okay, he was in there on like a friend of his that he was hanging out, who was a dealer. He was in a dealer's house, and it was weed. It wasn't even like coke or anything like that. So he got, thrown in there. He got like 2 years. But while he was in there, and he was like, he couldn't even speak Spanish, but he was Mexican of descent. So because he was Mexican descent, he got pulled into the Mexican mafia. And he told me, he said, listen, he goes, and he was in there now for, I think another 30 years. He had 2, but they, as you know, the Mexican mafia inside prison is like a paramilitary organization. They're up at the crack of dawn. They're doing their calisthenics and like that. And if anybody's weak who can't keep up, they kill him. They take him out.
Yeah.
They're out. So there was an older guy in there that he wasn't keeping up. And so he was the new guy who says, you got to take him out to prove to us your allegiance to us. So he took him out, and he only meant to hurt him, and he killed him.
Yeah.
So he went from a 2-year sentence to a 30-year sentence.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like articulate. He was smart, and he had a future, and now he's looking at that. And I'm like, that to me, and it just started out as a conversation, and after I walked away from that, even the cameraman was like this seasoned like news cameraman. He goes, wow, that was really good, because you got him really to open up. And I'm like, oh, that's the trick.
Yeah.
That's the trick. I found the trick. Get him to open up, ask him these open-ended questions, get him to really kind of like talk to them like a human being. Don't talk to them. Don't ask them stupid questions like, what are you in for? And stuff like that.
Yeah.
I started out, who are you? What did you do growing up? What were your goals? What were your dreams and stuff like that? And then he told me everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I worked here at our jail for a year before I went to Vice APD. And I would have to be talking to guys from Me to You that you knew had killed multiple people. And when you're talking to these guys, you could almost see evil in their eyes. You could see it and you can feel it, right? And we didn't have any weapons, man. So I had a pair of keys and a radio, man. And so there's times, man, we had to fight these guys, man. And they were knock-down, drag-out fights.
Sure.
And you just think in your mind, a lot of these guys, you're right, they don't even have a choice. And there is a level of, we always used to say this, there's no victims, there's only volunteers.
Exactly.
Right? And so we used to say that because a lot of these guys, they started either drugs, crime.
They didn't get there because they were schoolboys.
Correct. And then when they get to prison, you're right. You don't have a choice. You're joining the gang because if you don't, you're dead. And you're right. And then it just robs people of their lives.
Granted, that guy was that guy. And then I went from that to meeting Juan Corona.
Oh, yeah.
And then meeting Charles Manson.
Yeah.
So it's like you have this flip side. And then also the other guy that was in there, the one who killed Cosby's kid.
Oh,
yeah.
I
forget what his name is, but he was there. And then there was obviously a ton of other people, a ton of innocent guys who wanted to tell me their story.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's got
and I'm walking past the cell tiers and they're throwing me the kites, like the notes on the strings. I'm like, what are they doing? I'm like,
hey, I didn't do nothing. I can tell you this. I've never had a guy tell me flat out, I did it.
Yeah.
You know, Cindy, your career has moved through television, film, and executive leadership at the highest level. What has ambition taught you about sacrifice?
It's a double-edged sword.
It's
That's
really
what it is.
tough one.
Because I would tell you this. It translates almost to what I used to do. To be good at what I did, my family paid a price because I was gone, right? I paid a price. I didn't get to go to Christmases and birthdays and all the other stuff. And I think people, and you're a type A, you're a type A, I'm a type A. Type A personalities, we do get ahead in life, but there's a price to be paid.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a workaholic. I mean, he has to come upstairs and pull me out of the room. It doesn't matter what show I'm on. It doesn't matter what job I'm doing. It doesn't matter if I'm executive producing or story producing. It doesn't matter. I mean, I will be in there until it's perfect, and I have to release it.
Correct.
You have to, because it's a lot. I left Hollywood when I was 2005. I left to go live in Europe for about 7 years. I had not taken a vacation ever before that. And when I moved to Europe, I ended up working in the news. And then I started my own production company in London and did a bunch of documentaries and covered the Arab Spring and did a bunch of stuff in Africa and went to a lot of places that
Man, you two have lived a blessed life, folks.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of people that can go, yeah, I lived in Europe for 7 years. Right. And you know, I mean, just when I met you guys, just listening to your stories, and I'm really big with all my cop stuff, as I can read between the lines very well. And you two guys are just so accomplished. Your stories are just so impressive. I mean, you know, just to hear you say, you know, hey, I lived in Europe and, you know, I was, you know, working in the news and, you know, being successful. Not a lot of people get that opportunity. You really, both of you guys breathe very rare air. Are you bothered by leg veins of any size, or is leg swelling or pain bugging you or someone you know? I would recommend that you make an appointment with our friends at Sequoia Vein and Wound to take care of it. With a friendly bilingual staff and their years of experience, they are happy to help resolve those issues. Give them a call to get a consult at 559-713-6478 and tell them that J-Mac sent you.
Well,
part of it is, and I think it's, you got to be in the right place at the right time, and also recognize, like I said, I mean, you got to be able to have a gut instinct and say, all right, I'm gonna leap in this. I'm gonna jump in this pool. Sometimes the pool is a cesspool.
Yeah.
You know? And you're like, and then other times you're like, oh wow, this is an opportunity. I didn't realize I got to do this. You know, there's so many of those moments where you look back and go, wow. You know, like when I was working with her, and then then the next job I got, I was like, I just had to get another job. And I got a job on this other show, which was about fighters. And I had no idea what the UFC was. Had no idea what mixed martial. I was actually a martial artist because I was a Taekwondo. I was like a red belt, 3rd degree red belt.
Oh, wow.
But I had no idea what mixed martial arts was. So I was like, wow, this is cool. Let me see what this is. And went in there, and it was the birth of the UFC. It was the first season of Ultimate Fighter. It was like, you know, I had no clue. I had no clue who Dana White was. I had no idea what the UFC was, you know, and then...
And look what it is today.
Look what it is today.
Oh, yeah, he was at Ground Zero. He was there creating it. I mean,
they couldn't give tickets away.
Yeah. Well, remember those, like, the first couple, like, you know, let's just say, the first, I'd say, year or two, man, it was like a ragtag crew of guys that were fighting, and it was just a weird thing.
It was very weird. My good friend, John McCarthy, who was the ref.
Big John
McCarthy. He was actually training with Gracie that time, because he was also training cops how to do jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And so he was getting ready to fight in the first one. So he was going to be a fighter. But then they said we need someone to kind of, even though it's like, because there was no rules there. You could do eye gouge, you can punch in the crotch, you can do whatever you wanted. It was like gladiator fighting, and it was like a gigantic sumo guy against this guy like half his size who's a martial artist. So it was like there was no weight classes or anything. It was like the strongest man, the best martial arts. This is how you're going to prove it, And so he ended up coming up with the term mixed martial arts because I remember he tells this story all the time on podcasts, and he's told me he had to because he was still in LAPD.
Yeah, wasn't it for the taxes or something? Or
no,
but he had to write.
He had to fill in a thing. What he had to get off.
That's
day.
right.
And they said, "What are you doing?" And he said, and he was getting paid for it, and he had to list what job it was. And he goes, "Well, I'm just refereeing, a martial arts competition." They go, "What kind of martial arts competition?" He goes, "Is it Taekwondo?" And he didn't know what to put. And he goes, "Well, there are a bunch of them," and he just put mixed martial arts, and then that stuck.
And that coined a term is so famous now to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's being at the point in the inception of stuff like that. It's happened to me a lot. It's happened to me a lot. I've been like, we do personally, we never come on existing series. We usually start series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're kind of the ones that kind of create them and get them up running and like Lockup, I was at the beginning of Lockup series for MSNBC, which went on for like 16 years after that. And so that it's exciting when stuff like that happens. And then while I was doing Lockup, I was on the prison yard at Folsom, and I was interviewing a chaplain, and the Mexican mafia guys used my interview in the yard as a diversion so they could take out somebody. And we got it all on camera because it was right behind us. And they put this guy in a coma within like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was another situation. But right then and there, at lunchtime, when I went outside, I got a call from my boss, and they were telling me, and this is right after 9/11. We're talking like a month after 9/11. And he goes, "Do you have a current passport?" And I go, "Yeah, why?" And he goes, "Well, we're thinking on embedding you with the first Marine Expeditionary Unit that's going to go into Afghanistan." And this was before all the embeds. They let it all, in Iraq, they let everybody in. But the first, right after 9/11, they didn't, they were like, right, but we had an in because one of the producers was a Vietnam war buddy with the Brigadier General of the Marines. So he was just like, "Hey, listen, if you guys get to Egypt, we'll pick you up in Egypt and we'll bring you out onto the USS Bataan and you'll be embedded. Once you're with us, no one can say anything.
Yeah.
You're embedded. As long as you're with my guys, you're good." So I was like, he goes, and my boss says, "You got 24 hours to make the decision." I was like, "Oh, shit, it's all right." So I call my ex-wife and my wife at the time, and I said, "Listen, I got this opportunity. I think I got to take it. I got to jump,
That's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, brother.
And this was like a scary time, The anthrax stuff was still happening. We didn't know we were going to get bombed again.
Yeah.
And we were talking like weeks after 9/11. It was a really, really tenuous time in our country. No one knew what was going on. We had no idea what was going on. And I was like, wow, I'm going to go to a war zone. So I was like, I got to go.
That's got to be a little apprehensive also. I mean, just knowing this, I'm going to a war zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But once again, I was so focused on my task and my job that you forget about a lot of the dangers of what's going on, because I go, I don't want to come back here with nothing. I want to come back with great stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I went out there with probably about 6 different cameras, all different kind of video cameras, small ones, big ones, stuff like that. Because I figured I'm going to be, what happens if they break down, stuff like that. I came back with the smallest one, the only one that worked. Because they all had like sand and stuff. It was like tape, mini DV tapes, and they all crapped out after a while. So it was an amazing experience, but it was also like we talk about all the time is like, how do we get ourselves in these positions where it's like this is not engineered. This is just
a lot of it just knowing the right people. And then they always say this, there's just things I think that just push us right where we're supposed to go. And, here's something I thought about when I was writing this, because together, what do you believe makes two people not only partners in business, but partners in purpose?
Oh, well, Cindy and I think it's just, I think we were together in another lifetime.
Yeah.
It's just because there's too much, we have conversations without even speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Like on the way up here, I'm sitting there driving. She goes, "What'd you say?" And I'm like, "I didn't say anything. Did you just say that? Were you just going to say this?" I go, "Well, I was thinking that."
Yeah.
It's like that. You can't. How does that happen? And it's just, you just have to you got to give it up to God.
Yeah.
Be like, this person was supposed to be with me. I was supposed to be with him. Obviously, she was married before. I was married before. We obviously didn't marry the right people, but it got us to this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm living it, brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Me and my wife, I'm in the best relationship I ever been in, and it's sadly enough, I didn't find her until I was 48.
Yeah.
And man, I was married before, and so but I just got to think, working together, being together all the time. There's gotta be. You guys obviously.
Well, we started working together. That's how we met.
Yeah, that's how we met.
So we started working
show.
together on a National Geographic. This is the funniest story. She was already working for National Geographic, the company that was doing the show. And then someone hired me for her job and didn't tell her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I was the only girl, right?
Yeah.
So here I am. I was supposed to be directing this recreation and producing this episode that I've written and did all the work on. And then he shows up and I'm like, who are you? And he's like, oh, I'm here to do that episode too. And I'm like, well, what do you mean two? I don't understand. And of course, the guy that, was our boss, God rest his soul, of course, he didn't tell me what was really going on because he wanted me to stay because I was doing all the episodes. I wasn't just doing one. So I was like, okay. So I was like, this guy thinks he's just going to walk in here and take my job. And he was like a little rough around the edges too because he'd be like, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? Did you do this? And I'm like, yes. Yeah. You don't know me, dude. Everything's going to be taken care of. I'm a really good producer. And so.
One thing we have in common, we don't suffer fools.
Yeah. No.
You know what? In fact, guys, we're a peas in a pod. I'm the same way. I give everybody everything I got, the best I got to give.
Yeah.
And if somebody gives me less than that, I don't do good with that.
No, we don't do good. It's really hard to
watch.
watch, and it's not easy for us to stand back and watch something go into the rocks.
No, I'm the same way.
It's really hard.
You know what? Even running this, it's people don't realize there's a lot of work that goes into even running a podcast behind the scenes. I'm getting guests, I'm coming up with the questions, I'm doing all this stuff, and I've had people back out at the last minute.
Sure.
Of course.
And I'm going to tell you something. It pissed me off, because I've done all this work. Mm-hmm. Now I'm scrambling around trying to find somebody else. And, even for you guys, I told you guys to be here at 1. You guys are here at 12:15. Mm-hmm. I'm the same way. Early is on time. Sure. On time is late.
Right.
Rob, what did your younger self dream about before the cameras, the networks, the documentaries, all of it? What were you really, when you're a young kid, what were you dreaming that you were going to do one day?
I wanted to be an NFL running back. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a kid.
Little small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not small, because when I was a huge Giant fan, when I saw Joe Morris, who was the same size as me.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, but
he was a football star in high school. Every time we go back to his town,
oh wow,
everybody screams Dorfmann. I'm in the store and I'm like, who's calling our name? What's going on?
Yeah,
and the whole town is like, he was a star.
That was my focus.
Oh,
that was my focus. I really liked it. And my younger brother was like that too. He was identical. He was also football, but he was a really good baseball player. Played at Seton Hall, played with Mo Vaughn, Craig Biggio. He should be he should have been in
Seton Hall's a great school.
He should have been in the majors easily. He just kind of went in the wrong direction. But that was the dream until it wasn't the dream. And it was funny because at my senior year, you fill out your senior picture in your yearbook and you say all those little captions next to it.
Yeah.
What are you going to do and stuff like that. And I was like, we're in homeroom and I'm talking to my friend. He goes, what are you putting down? What are you putting down? And I was like, he goes, you know what? I'm going to be like a movie and film TV producer. Like just the craziest thing ever. The craziest thing ever. It's so unattainable. Never even thought about it before. And I wrote it in. I forgot about it. And I had friends of mine on, years and years ago when Facebook started coming about, they took a picture of my senior picture with all this stuff. And they go, Rob, did you realize you put this in your thing?
Wow.
So it was like almost like affirmation.
I was going to say.
I stated it.
Almost like set in stone. Yeah.
And not only that, I did it and I exceeded it. So it was kind of like pretty crazy.
That is crazy. Cindy, how did studying international relations shape the way you see people, conflict, and culture today?
Well, I don't know if my degree did that since I was having a lot of fun at college, but I do study languages. I've been speaking French since I was little, and I spoke multiple languages. So I always was fascinated by news, international news, and languages. So when I moved to Paris, I realized I didn't know French at all.
Je m'appelle Jay. Comment t'appelles tu? You know what I mean?
On peut pas français maintenant, hein? But it took me like a while to like learn the proper way to speak French after being there and working there and having to take government exams. But I think that I've always been interested in that stuff. So for me, I love the world. I love travel. I've been to 52 countries. I love different cultures. I think it's really important to know about geopolitics. I think it's really important to know before you speak. Like, I don't think it's good for people to just assume that what you're being fed on the news or the media is correct. I will always do my homework. I'm a researcher. I'm a digger. I mean,
you know what? And I think in this day and age, more so than any time in history, I think it's important to do that because I think mainstream media really has this narrative and they really try to make people think a certain way.
Manipulate.
Yeah, they do. And because, you think like, back, in our day, you think like a Walter Cronkite. Walter Cronkite gave you the facts of the news and then you made your own decisions, right, from that.
Well, let's be clear. There was only 3 broadcasts.
Exactly.
Correct.
There was no 24-hour news
What we know
cycle.
now is they were co-opted by the government as well.
Yeah, you know what? I just saw something that they said Walter Cronkite was a agent of the CIA. I just saw that. I don't know if it's true or not, but I was like,
not that he was an agent, but they were complicit and they were fed stuff to broadcast. I mean, there was on a Rogan podcast, he had Bill Murray on. And I don't know if you saw this one, but it was really interesting because they started talking about Bob Woodward. Yeah, and Bob Woodward, anybody knows, he was the part of the team for the All the President's Men. They took down Nixon, and he said that. But Bob Woodward also wrote the book about John Belushi, his friend, who died.
Yes.
It was SNL.
Yeah.
God. OD'd and stuff like that. Yeah. And he said he read like the first 20 pages of Bob Woodward's book. And he said, and he looked at Joe and he goes, I read that book. And he goes, I immediately said, they framed Nixon. They framed, because he didn't talk to one person that actually knew John Belushi. They were all other anonymous sources or people that were so fractured away from him that didn't even know John. And he looked at Joe and he goes, I was convinced at that point that they framed Nixon.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we're told in this day and age, there's just always this agenda by a lot of stuff we're told. And I'm the same way. I will do my own, hey, I'm willing to listen. But we always say, trust but verify.
We say that all the time. Honestly, because I've always been that way, though. I mean, when I had to do my thesis, I did it on the reunification of Germany at the time, when Germany was still West and East Germany. It's how old we are.
In 1989, right?
When
I
was in college
Berlin
then.
Wall came down.
I was in college during that time. So I always thought it was fascinating, but I wanted to know the real story. So like when I actually lived in Europe and I would go to Germany and I would talk to people that were there at the time. And I learned so much from travel, more than you could ever learn in a book. And I think
agree.
that it's important for people to travel, see other cultures, see how other people live before you make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. Don't make judgments. Don't judge people. You don't know what it's like. I've been to Russia. I see how those people live. I mean, you have no idea what you're talking about half the time when people are just making these statements. So I think all of that comes into play with what we do because we go to these subcultures in the United States where a lot of these crimes happen in these small communities or sheriff departments that are corrupt, that are small community places that aren't the big city. And we have to be objective. We have to understand, like, these are the people that we're dealing with. Like, we have to learn how to communicate with them when we're producing these shows. Like Rob said, you can't just ask the people. You have to know your audience, right?
I agree.
So you got to consider the source.
And you have to
always
consider
the source where you're getting the information.
And always know that you have to have 3 sources. I don't understand this world we're living in where you don't even have to have one.
Well, and I think a lot of this, sources say right? And I think a lot of it is fabricated. I really do. I just think this.
It's more like rumor.
Yeah. Yes.
Or what I would like to hear.
And yes. And, and I'm with you guys. It's just like, I would love to trust media, but I just don't. Rob.
Yes.
Was there someone early in your life who taught you how to listen deeply to others?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Well, I wasn't a big talker growing up.
Yeah, but your old man was, so maybe...
My old man was.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it was like he was always talking. Like I was more like my mother. My mother was she was a listener.
Yeah.
So probably my mom.
Okay.
Because she couldn't get a word in edgewise with my dad most of the time. So she was going, oh yeah, he's going off again.
Yeah.
It's cock and bull stories. It's bullshit. After he's had a few drinks, then it's the big fish story always. So I think my mom.
Okay.
Because I used to sit her, and even when my dad was always throwing parties at the house and stuff like that, and my mom was always cooking and stuff like that. So my dad was holding court, and my mom was doing everything, feeding everybody, and my dad was the bartender, and so he was running. So she'd be sitting there, and she'd have conversation, but she'd always sit there and listen to everybody.
Yes.
She's always in the corner. She was always the prettiest woman in the room. So she always sat there, and she just sat there and very quiet. And so I learned that. I always watched her, and probably from her, because I'm a lot like her.
Yeah.
And I think that because when you listen and you're not talking and you're not the center of attention, you're so much more observant of what other people are doing 100%. In the room. So like to this day, it's like, she always asks me, goes, did you have a good time? You weren't talking about, I had a good time. I have a good time people watching.
Yeah.
And my mom loved to people watch. Like we used to go, my dad used to take us, like my grandparents lived in New York, in Queens, New York, and we were living in Jersey at the time. So every time we used to go home, we would always go, we'd go home either in the Lincoln Tunnel or the George Washington Bridge. And if we were going home, the Lincoln Tunnel means we're going through the city, going through the Midtown Tunnel. And my dad would always stop at Times Square. And we were little, and he would park, and then we'd walk Times Square because he wanted us to feel that energy and all the different things, in the mid 70s, Times Square was not.
It was a shady place.
It
back
was
then.
It was a shady place.
A lot of X-rated
so it was
cinemas and stuff like that.
There was pimps on the street and everything.
Yeah, drugs.
My dad wanted us to feel that energy and see those different cultures and stuff like. My mom was scared. She goes, "What are you doing? What are you crazy? Why are you bringing the kids out here?" And he would say, "All right." He goes, "Everybody lock arms." He goes, "We're gonna walk 3 blocks and then we're gonna go home." And stuff like that, and go down and feel all the lights and stuff like that. And so that was good. And that kind of opened up my mind to a lot of the world. Because New York, till this day, is still the center of the universe. As much problems
I've never been, but
it's it's the center of the universe. It's I don't know how much longer it's going to be like that, but back then it was the center of the financial, entertainment, news, government, even more than, because the United Nations is there. So it was just an influx of stimuli.
I think the financial aspect of that city is getting ready to change drastically. I think that mayor is.
Who knows?
I think he's doing some stuff that's going to.
They've been up and down. They've had mayors like that before in the past. Not as, I don't know if it's like LaGuardia. I think Mayor LaGuardia was kind of like that too, a little bit from what I heard. But it's had its up and downs.
Oh yeah.
And then Giuliani came and cleaned it up in the 90s, and then Bloomberg did a really good job maintaining that, making it better. And then you get the people who there for their own purposes and trying to change everything.
Yeah,
it's a very resilient city. I think it'll come back eventually. It's just one mayor has ever destroyed New York City.
Yeah, what are they? I mean, 8 million people live there or something.
10.
Yeah, it's massive.
Just on the island. I mean, in the suburbs, it's a lot more than that.
Yeah. Cindy.
Yes.
What struggles quietly shaped your resilience long before success became visible?
Oh my God.
Going to too many prompts.
I know. I'm making you guys think.
It's, first of all, this industry is very hard.
Big time.
And financially, I was never making enough money. I mean, and honestly, the first job that I got, my friends and I, we were all trying to get jobs, and we would put the rejection letters on the wall in our apartment, and it was covered. It was just covered.
Yeah.
It was like constant rejection, constant. Like you'd write a great script, everyone, I love it, it's great, can't get it made.
Yeah.
Or I sold a script to Sony. I was 30 years old, sold a script that I wrote, an original script, bought it, never made it. They never made it. They sat there. So it's heartbreaking. Okay. It's heartbreaking. And I think it's just
rejection period is hard to deal with.
It can really get you. Like I still have friends that we all started together. One's a stand-up comedian. The other one's a writer, director, producer. Well, she's not a director. She's a writer, producer. And we laugh because we're like, we remember when we were in our 20s, we were struggling, and we're still struggling.
Yeah.
You're still, even when you sell shows, like, great, we sold 2 shows. Great. It's amazing. It's a miracle. But then it's like, oh, wait, now we got to go look for jobs again. Like, because now it's done, right? So now we got to start all over again. So it's just that whole up and down struggle, and then trying to balance that with, personal life, getting married. I was married before. I tried to have children, didn't happen. So lots of struggles in my personal life as well. Career was always the focal point, and then I kind of pushed it to the back because I was like, all right, enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to say it's enough. I walked away. I was like, I'm done with Hollywood. I'm done. I moved to Belgium, and my ex-husband and I really didn't think I was going to go back in. I was like, I'm going to do something completely different. And I got sucked right back in. The minute I went to Paris, I got sucked right back in.
I think you two are right where you guys need to be. I mean, watching your guys' documentaries or even watching your show, you guys are very good at what you do. I mean, and you can just tell this is your knack. You got this. I mean, I just think there's some people, they find their niche. This is your niche. This is where you guys are meant to be. That's honestly what I think. For both of you, how much of who we become is destiny and how much is forged through hardship? Because I'm where I'm at because of hardship. I can tell you that, folks.
I think we have both. It's destiny. I mean, the fact that we're together was destiny. I mean, that was definitely fated. That was supposed to happen. And we just didn't. Yeah. We didn't think that when we met. We didn't know that. Well,
I mean, think you guys just both doing the same job, now married, and you guys do this stuff. We
actually don't do the same job. That's the great partnership.
Right. But I mean, you're going to run the show.
We run the show, but we like, I'm kind of like more of the visual, even though Cindy's a very amazing director, but I'm usually dealing with like corralling all the people and directing.
Got it.
Yeah, and you're visually, you're really good. Yeah. Like camera. I mean, you're an amazing director. Yeah. So he usually directs, and I usually write.
Got it.
And so that's kind of how we both produce. So it's
she is amazing interviewer. Like, I'll sit and like, if we have a choice between who's going to interview, it's always going to be her.
Got it.
She always gets people to open up like in these deep, dark places that you're never going to go. I mean, I can do it too, but they get there quicker with her.
Got it.
There's something about like, strangers are just in the street, just come up and start talking to her. So it's just, she's got that gift, that aura that attracts people to want to tell them their stories. Me, like when I'm in like a store or something like that, she'll go to, every time I drop her off at the supermarket or something like that, she'll come in and she'll like tell me, this happened and this person talked to me about that. And like, I'll go in and come out because like, when I go in there, I got, a stone face. I'm not like telling people to get away from me, but I'm in and out. I don't have one interaction. I go, how can you not go in there without having,
you know what, me and you are like that. I can walk up to anybody and I can just start talking.
Yeah.
And people just, I mean, and even me and my wife, we've been in Target. My mom, my wife would be like, why are you talking to all these people, Jay? And I go, it's just what I do. It's just what I do.
Yeah. Like for me, it takes a lot of effort to talk.
Yeah.
It's draining. So like I said, I'm a very good listener. I'll sit there and I'll listen. I'll watch everybody. I won't say a word. Like, I'll be like in a group of people. And especially if it's people that I don't really know. And then everyone's competing with their voices and stuff like that. And, these stupid Zoom calls you go on with, these creative calls. And you're like, I sit there. And like a lot of times I'm the showrunner, so I have to kind of create the agenda. And so I have like the shortest Zoom calls ever. I have my agenda's like bing, bang, boom, boom, boom. All right, see you next week.
Yeah.
And then some people in the calls are like, they want to talk about, they start bringing in all these other kind of, when I was this and, back in the day, and this is how, and I'm like going, that's not what the call's about. They just want to hear themselves talk.
Yeah.
And so when I get into those modes where people want to just hear themselves talk, I'm out.
Yeah.
I tune out.
Yeah.
So
you're more direct. Hey, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Give me the meat. I don't want to see it, and that's why I love the podcast setting for both of us, for the true crime stuff, because we're not there. We see a lot of these podcasts where the first 5-10 minutes, all they're doing is talking about their weekends.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Nobody wants to hear that.
no, well, maybe they do.
Maybe people do. I mean, they have an audience.
I just think, especially like for me personally, and I'm like you in this. If I'm going to watch your pod, and let's just say, let's take the McNair thing.
Yeah.
If we're talking about McNair, hey, let's get to the meat and potatoes of what happened with McNair. And because I think that they're going to tune out. You got to do something that hooks people. And if you don't have that hook, I'm like you, dude. I can tune out real quick.
Well, we also want to do something that's interesting to us.
Yes.
The questions we're asking is not just because,
yes,
we bring people on like you, like you're a seasoned investigator, and stuff like that. We want that perspective. We think we know how it should go, based upon of our experience, but we're not investigators.
Correct.
We're not police officers. We've spent an enormous amount of time in police cars and at police stations. I've been on probably over 200 murder scenes.
Yes.
In my career, going underneath the yellow tape right after it happens, seeing how all this stuff. I've been in autopsies. I've been I've seen it all. I've seen pretty much everything that a cop has seen at one point or another. For some cops, probably more.
Yes.
I've been involved with shootings. I've been shot at, and so but those are the things that interests me in the conversation when I'm talking to someone. Like if I'm interviewing a cop or if I'm in the back seat and I'm asking about what happened here, I'm not asking, all right, where do you go to lunch? Where do you like that?
No, you know what? And I can tell you this. I mean, just watching your guys' show from a cop perspective, I love the fact that you guys are peeling back all the layers of the onion because, with that McNair thing, hey man, you could do probably 25 episodes just off of that McNair thing because just how much I looked at that and I was so disappointed in that police department, but I just love the fact that you guys are exposing the whole story because guess what? Very quickly, a narrative gets pushed and then people just want to follow that narrative. And then once you start doing a little bit of digging, you're realizing, oh, wait a minute, the ball was dropped here. The ball was dropped there. This was done wrong. That was done wrong. And I love that.
And what's interesting about that is that these people come to us. We didn't go to the McNair family. The McNair family came to us. His son came to us, along with some, with other people that are involved with him, and said, "Listen, we want this to get out of there. We didn't like the Netflix series. We like that. We want more answers. Can you do it?" And it's and then a lot of times they'll just fade off in the woodwork, and then once we get our teeth into it and we start looking into it. And, we have people like you on, we have other people that former players and other investigators, news broadcasters who covered the case. We're like, what?
Yeah, I always say this, 25 people cannot be wrong and one person be right. You know what I mean? Rob,
yes.
You've said your passion comes from curiosity about the human condition. Mm-hmm. What do you think people are truly searching for beneath success, crime, fame, or failure?
I think acceptance and love.
Yes.
I think people,
Yes.
And I'll tell you that because in all the different environments I've been in, whether it's dealing with people I'd meet in my entire life, whether it's inside the business or anything, I mean, that's what you look for.
Yeah, and it's the human condition, and I will tell you something, the human condition of what I did for 25 years of being a cop, those are the things that stick with me because you see the devastation. You see people that this trauma, they will never get over.
No.
And that was the hard part for me and the guys. I've often said this, I've seen the worst of humanity, and there's times I've driven away from calls and I've literally looked in the rearview mirror and said this, why did I ever choose this godforsaken business?
No, you're showing up at everybody's worst day ever.
100%.
Worst day ever.
100%. And, there's just times where me and the guys, we would be in the back of the parking lot of the PD after a shift and we're just talking and you're just you're trying to get it out of your mind and get it out of your heart so you can go home and function like a normal human being. But the human condition is the part that really... there's things, I just know this. They will be with me till the day I die.
Absolutely.
And
they're scars.
They are scars. Cindy,
Yeah.
what fascinates you most about human behavior when the cameras are rolling?
I don't know. I have this weird thing, like he said. I am very empathic, so I can feel people's emotions really intensely. And I just let them talk, but I also want to get in there, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think it's, you watch their mannerisms, their eyes, their, I kind of mirror them when I'm talking to them so that they feel comfortable. But I also think it's just, I am gifted with that. It's not an easy.
Yeah, it is a gift because I could tell you something. I struggle with empathy. That's one of my Achilles heels.
Men.
And yet they are.
It's a
but I think also too, all the crazy shit I had to get through years. And so I've gotten better at it. So when I get around somebody like you that is empathetic and that is a gift for you, I celebrate that because it's something that I personally have struggled with.
Well, it's not easy because you feel everybody's stuff. It's really hard for me sometimes. Rob is really good at trying to get me to just release it, because I'll hold on to it. And then I'm like, it takes me a minute to get, like, I'll cry with them, it's like we were just in a situation where I was interviewing someone who didn't speak English. And I didn't speak the language that he spoke, but I could tell he wanted to tell me something. And I kind of cracked him.
Yeah, you did cry him.
Yeah.
And so
You were an interpreter.
the investigators that were there, who are like seasoned investigators, they were like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, former U.S. Marshal.
They were like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
Cindy, you cracked him." And I didn't know what I did. I just was being myself. But I think that that's just something that you have, and I think that for people to tell their story is hard.
I think there's a lot of people, it's very hard for people to open up. People have this thing, everybody wants to hold their cards close, right? And so for you to have that gift that you can do that and bring that out of people, it is a gift.
Oh no,
it's a true gift.
She gets them to spill.
Love it.
Spill.
Yeah, it's about the emotion.
My favorite, and well, not my favorite, but the one that rush is we did a documentary on Gary Ridgway. It was the Green River Killer.
Yes.
So, and the way about it was really crazy because this young girl was working for me on a police show, a cop show,
And she was a PA, so she was just kind of doing like organizational stuff. And she was finished, and it was her last day, and she came in to thank me for giving her the opportunity. And I said, well, what are you going to do next? What's on the agenda? What are you going to work on next? She goes, well, I'm thinking about doing a documentary about my family. I go, well, what's unique about your family? She goes, well, my uncle, my dad's brother is Gary Ridgway. I mean, and I'm like, the Green River Killer? And I'm like, sit down. You're not going anywhere. So like within a year and a half, 2 years, we had the deal to do that from the family's perspective and how they didn't know for 25 years, how he lived amongst them and went, would spend time with, opening up presents. They had videos of him opening up presents Christmas Day and then leaving for a couple hours and coming back. And he had just killed someone.
When he was gone. He
was gone, kill someone, then come back for dinner. Come back for dinner. It's like nothing's wrong.
It was really hard.
She had to interview the sister-in-law of Gary Ridgway, so his brother's wife, and sat down and we're sitting there, full formal interview and stuff like that. Very tough subject because we're basically asking these people like, how did you not know?
Oh yeah,
all these. We're talking about hundreds of women. He gave me He gave me a list of all the women.
Wow.
I had probably about 10 or 12 phone conversations before we started shooting where like once a week we'd get on the phone with him and he would like send me lists and he'd have a rating system. He knew everything. And so she had to interview the sister-in-law. And the first thing she said is she's like, well, I really love Gary. I'm like going, and then I look at her and
I look at each other, we're like, stop.
The interviewer says, listen, you're going to have to substantiate
qualify that
in this interview because people are going to come after you.
Yeah.
And we're like, wow. And that would have been
I loved.
But that tells you, and that was like how empathetic she is.
Yeah.
She felt so comfortable with Cindy that she could say that.
Yeah.
I love him. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
He's a serial killer. I go, he's a serial killer, right?
And I'm like, cut.
Well, and then she just it's just like all this emotion came out of
Then
her.
she
She
started
just
bawling
like
her eyes out.
screaming and crying, and we were like, "Oh my god, it's TV. It's good TV, but it's hard to watch. You know, it's hard.
It is hard to watch.
But I think it's like for us, the victims, I can get very emotional about their rights, you know, and like
Victims' families.
the victims' families, and I can be very like, you have to do the right thing. Let's do the
Correct.
right thing here.
I always say, you know, even as, you know, me, I've got 35 episodes, but I can tell you something. I've been in here and I get emotional. My guests get emotional, and I'm with you. There's just times when we're talking about stuff that's very hard to talk about. But you're right. I think especially with victims, I think those stories need to be told. I think that there needs to be an amount of reverence when we're talking about victims. Rob,
Yes.
after interviewing criminals, legends, athletes, and leaders, what common thread exists between all of them?
Ego.
Yes. Yes.
Ego.
Yes. Yes. Now
And that's an acronym of saying everything's going okay. Because your ego's telling you everything's going great. I'm great. Everything's going good.
Yeah. No, that is so true. And you know what? I mean, I have interviewed, you know, I've been around top politicians. I've been around very famous people. It's ego every time. Cindy, what have you learned about fear, especially in an industry where risk and reinvention are constant?
Well, there's two different things there because I'm not, I mean, this industry I've walked away from so many times and I keep getting sucked back in, right? So I don't really, I'm not afraid of anything anymore. In the beginning, I would be scared to death of the network exec and I would want to try to please them and do all these things. But now it's just kind of like, I know what's good. I know what's not good. I don't have that fear. But I have been on shoots where I've had, you know, a knife held to my throat. Or I've had some sketchy things happen in the field on these true crime shows that can be quite dangerous. And I think you have to just, I don't really react, which is probably not a good
problem
thing.
Is she's not, it's like,
I freeze.
She freezes. It's really, and that scares me because like I'm the type of guy, you know, because, you know, I probably could have been a cop very easily.
Yeah, I was going to say, you kind of almost have a cop way about you.
Yeah, a bunch of my friends after high school, they all, you know, because I had a friend of mine's father who was like a major in the state troopers in New Jersey. And so there was like a flood of them that went. And they, you know, I considered doing that after college. And then I kind of like one morning I had like a vision of like me sitting in a patrol car on the side of the road on Route 80 and like that. And then I was like, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, you know, I had to, you know, and also I'm not really good at people telling me like parameters and do it like that. I'm a little bit of a maverick and renegade. I like doing things my own way.
Yeah.
And I saw the structure as too much for me because I probably would have gotten in trouble.
I was going to say, you're looking at a maverick.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I totally see that.
Yeah, because I was...
When you tell me the stories about some of your stuff, like, it's exactly how I would have been.
Yeah.
Like,
and I always used to say this, I'll sweep up, I just won't eat shit when I'm doing it.
Exactly.
And you know what I mean? What story changed both of you emotionally after production wrapped?
Oh, I would have to say Valentino.
I think so. That was pretty intense.
There's a guy named Valentino Dixon.
For me, it was even more because I went to school with Marty.
Exactly. So there was this thing where we had just finished a contract for National Geographic and we were living down in D.C. in Virginia side, right over near the Arlington Cemetery.
Beautiful area, by the way.
Beautiful, great.
Yeah.
And so she had two friends that she went to high school with, and one of them, when she was their senior year, very wealthy area of Long Island, North Shore, woke up and found both of his parents murdered. His dad was still alive, but he was like brutally, he was on his deathbed. Mother was almost decapitated. And he was like a, you know, kind of a small Jewish guy, you know, he was adopted. His parents were very big and it was like no physical way he could have done this. He just didn't have the physicality. And so he got charged and convicted of both of their murders because the cops wrote out his confession for him and made him sign it. And then later on found out that the detective was in on the hit on his parents because he was with his former business partner, his father's business partner. It's a big story that was happening. He was on Oprah, like, Marty Tankleff, a great, crazy story. And Marty was able to write 30,000 letters to all these PIs.
Went to jail for 18 years.
18 years.
Wow.
And he got one PI answer his letter and said, I'll look into your case. And that guy not only found the murder victim, found murder weapon, but also found a witness. So it got him exonerated. So he got out. He becomes a lawyer. It's in his 40s, mid-40s at that point. And so their other friend was a Georgetown professor who was doing all this stuff on prison justice and restorative justice and stuff like that. So they decide they're going to teach a class and teach undergraduate students how to look at potentially wrongful conviction cases and study them and then see if they can help maybe get a new trial, stuff like that. So we were about really ready to go back to our apartment up in New Jersey right across from Manhattan. And then we meet them for lunch and they said, well, this is what we're doing. They go, would you guys want to do a documentary about it? And we're like, okay, yeah. So we did. And so we didn't take any jobs. We stayed there. We covered their class. It was the first year of the class. And we started, and we said, well, this is what we're going to do on top of that. We're going to buy all the students' cameras, and we're going to make these guys make mini documentaries about all these cases, making a persuasive argument on why their case should be reconsidered. And then, so we did that. And then in 8 months, we got someone out of prison.
Wow. Okay.
And it was Valentino Dixon. And so meeting Valentino behind bars.
Sitting across from him. In Wendy State
Prison up in upstate New York. And then 6 months later.
Seeing him out.
Being in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Him getting exonerated and released and being on the street. And him he's got his entire family out. There's cameras, everything. And then I'm sitting there. I'm behind a camera. And Cindy's there. And he's saying hello to everybody. And he's like, where's Rob and Cindy?
Yeah.
Where's Rob and Cindy? And like that. And
we just started bawling. We were just
it
crying.
was just such a moment to see that. And he's gone on to do great things. He's an artist and he's done all these paintings for presidents and all this other stuff right now. And he's had such a full life now.
That's phenomenal. I tell you, I think more so than any time in history, I think more people are getting exonerated now because how advanced DNA is. You know what I mean? And I'm with you guys. If somebody did it, I want them to be held accountable, but I think there are some people that have been railroaded by the system, and those people, I want those people out. I do not want to see people incarcerated that do not deserve it.
No, absolutely not.
Rob, documentaries often look polished on screen, but behind the scenes, there's chaos. What's one production moment where everything nearly fell apart?
Every one of them does. They all do.
Yeah.
They all have a place where, it's... I like to say directing is like having sex in a car wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally, it's like you're in there. It's like, it's exhilarating. It's like you're getting in these amazing shots. Like when you get these amazing shots that just happen because you're in that particular place and the lighting's perfect and you capture a piece of action that you would have never, you have a shot list for, and it just works. And then you have the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Where things just go completely wrong. I had to cover the Baja 500 with Jesse James, and so it was I did a show called Jesse James is a Dead Man. We were putting him in situations where he could potentially die. And so he was like, oh, I can do he was another one, ego.
Oh yeah.
Up the yin yang. And so he had never done it before, he had tons of money. So he had this $2 million trophy truck. And we went down there. We had tons of crew down there. Had to do all this security. We had to hire the former Zetas, who were the mayor's bodyguards. I mean, these are cartel guys but those are the only guys we can get. They would allow us to use. So they were our bodyguards. How can you trust, whatever. So he gets 90 miles into it, and we had rigged, this is before GoPros, so we had all these other fixed cameras, all of it. He gets 90 miles into it, and everything went wrong. We couldn't, down in Mexico, getting crew members down there. We didn't have a place to live. Everything was going wrong. And I had the network execs with me. I had 4 network execs with me. So they're it's like having a microscope on top of a microscope.
Yeah, you got 4 bosses telling you, Rob, what's the problem? Yeah.
Huge budget. A lot of one shot. This is it. This is a race. This is not, we can't tell him, let's come back and do it again. So he gets 9 miles in and then he disappears. We don't know where he is. We can't, he didn't make it to the next.
Yeah.
He didn't even make it to the first mile,
Now you're thinking, did he get kidnapped?
We don't know.
Yeah.
So like trying to get an answer, and I'm like running around. I'm up there, and I don't speak Spanish, so I'm like trying to find people and stuff like that. And then what we later found, and then we found out we were getting stories that the cartels sponsor cars in that race, and they follow them with helicopters. And we couldn't get a helicopter because they were all bought up. So there was no way we could kind of track him. And then we found out that one of the cartel helicopters went down following the race with the cartel leader in it. And so then and he died. And so there was a race to get to the helicopter from the cartels to get his body because they wanted to get. So it was like an incident in the middle of the race, and we couldn't find Jesse.
Wow.
So it was like very chaotic, And then eventually, we found he only drove 90 miles in it. Then
was that before he was with Sandra Bullock?
It was right. It was right when all that was blown up. It was right before it blew up. We all were seeing it.
Yeah.
We were all seeing it, because I was with him on the shoot prior, and there was.
Yeah.
So it was all literally right after that. It just exploded.
Cindy, how do you remain calm when pressure, deadlines, and expectations collide?
I'm just like, I don't know. I just work. I don't know how to say it. It's like, I'm not calm. Let's be clear. Yeah. I'm screaming my head off in the house. No one's going to.
Italian.
Poor Rob. I mean, he gets the brunt of it, but I won't do that. Obviously no one knows that I'm screaming my head off. But I just get it done. Yeah. You just got to get it done. And you got to sometimes, it's like, you just have to release it. Like sometimes it'll just be like, it's got to go. And I'm like, no, but wait, we got to fix this one thing. Yeah. And he's like, no, it's got to go. And I'm like, ugh. And it's really like hard for me to let it go if it's not perfect. It's really, really difficult.
Well, we're all alike in this, and I think a lot of where we've gotten in life is this. We're willing to put our heads down, do the work. And, and almost sometimes it's a gift and it's a curse.
Yeah.
And I've often said that to people. I'm a hard charger, and I'm highly educated, and I'm motivated, I'm dedicated, but man, a lot of things pay the price because of that. And Rob, how do you earn trust from people during the most vulnerable moments of their lives?
You be straight with them.
Yeah.
You be friggin' straight with them. It's like because people smell bullshit.
Oh yeah, people could smell bullshit quick.
Yeah,
we saw that on this last project. One of the last projects that we did, we had someone on set who was not really authentic, and they would all gravitate to Rob. And the guy was getting pissed. And I was like, they're gravitating to him because he's real. Like, you got to stop with the bullshit. Like, these people see right through you. Don't talk to them like they're dumb because they live in the country. Don't talk to them like that you're better than them because you're from Los Angeles. He knows how to break it down. You can talk to anyone. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You've been able to get
also,
cops
too,
in the chair.
That's a gift. It's a true gift because not everybody can do it. I'm like you in that. I walk in the room.
I had to listen to a lot of my father's bullshit stories, stuff like that. to kind of, I mean, they were fun to listen to, but I'm like, and I would ask my mom, I go, is that true? And she goes,
Cindy, what separates a good producer from a truly unforgettable storyteller?
Separates a good producer from another. Well, I don't know. I think that. Oh, that's a hard question. I don't know if you can even
equate the two.
Yeah, not all producers are storytellers.
That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of producers I know are not storytellers. Yeah. I'm a storyteller. Rob's a storyteller. But a lot of producers are not. Like, they'll just fit in the cog, So for us, we've always been producers, like he said, on new series. So we're able to craft those stories. I always tell my story producers, you guys have to craft these stories. You can't just come in here and slap stuff together and think that that's going to make the story. You need to craft these things. So for me, it's always about the storytelling. Without the storytelling, you don't have anything. So
I agree.
Even if you're watching a commercial, like, I want the story. I want to feel something. I want my people to watch my show and walk away and feel something. I don't care what the topic is. I want them to have some kind of visceral response to what I'm producing.
I mean, that's why people have gravitated to podcasts so much, because when you have a good person who's doing a podcast, they're curating the story.
I agree.
And you have to do that. You got a bad subject. You got someone who's not talkative. We've all had that where they're sitting there. They're sitting there. It's like their deadly interview. So it's like you got to curate that. and everybody wants to. We all live by stories. I mean, like the Bible. You know, it's just the reason why it's so popular because it's told in story form.
I 100%. You know what? There's guests that's come on here, and I've had to carry them. You know what I mean, through the whole thing, and and I think all my years being a cop has prepared me to do this because I can come up with questions, and I can, you guys clearly are easy to talk to because you guys are obviously better at this than me, but I love the fact that my training, experience, and education has pushed me to this, and it's made me good at it.
Yeah.
But you guys, man, it's like, I know it's like, especially because you guys are talking to people that are incarcerated, and then obviously
victims'
families. It's not easy. It's not easy.
No, it's cool.
Here's something that you kind of touched on just a minute ago. How do you balance perfectionism with humanity?
Walk away.
Yeah, no one's perfect. I mean, that's the thing. It's like
there's no such thing as perfection.
There's no such thing as a perfect human. I mean, we're all flawed. I mean, we have to accept that. I know what my flaws are. I know what my strengths are. But I think that when it comes to work, that's different. Like for me, I'm an A student. That I was a gifted and talented child. I was in the gifted and talented program.
And I'm a C student.
From birth, I was like a student. Do. A goes to B. And that's the problem with the entertainment industry because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you go perfect. It doesn't matter if you're A, you're looking for this path. There is no A gets to B gets to C.
Yeah.
There is no rhyme or reason to this business. So it can make you a little nuts because you're like, well, wait a minute. I did everything right. Everybody loved my show. I got nominated for an award, but yet it didn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I learned a long time ago when I first came in town, and I had this epiphany because I was around a lot of talented people. When I first came to Hollywood, I was in acting class, and I was the only person that didn't have a series. The entire Melrose Place cast was in my class. The guy from the Nanny, Charles Shaughnessy, was in my class. Everybody were working successful actors, and I'm like, they're no better than me.
Oh,
they're not. Yeah. And I'm like going, and I realized success has no prejudice.
Yeah,
it really doesn't. And that's when I realized that you can be the most talented because there's so many talented people, talented filmmakers, talented artists,
so many
that are completely unrecognized.
Oh,
and so it's so much of it is just. It's luck, timing, and knowing the right people. And then once in a while, that diamond in the rough squeeze through.
Yeah.
Squeeze through, and you're like, wow,
I loved Melrose Place, by the way. When sitting across from evil, what do you feel in your spirit?
Once again, usually when I'm there and doing that, I am so focused on what's going on. I mean, the last... evil. Well, we talk to serial killers a lot on our podcast. They call in, but that's different because you have the phone line and stuff like that. But I was
when you're in a room with these people,
well, I'm in a cage.
You can feel it.
Yes.
I mean, I could I'm very intuitive, and you could feel the evil in these people. You know,
it's an edge. I mean, you definitely can feel the energy. I mean,
2 years ago when we were up there, we have a podcast called Serial Kill Whisperer, and we work with a criminologist, a young woman who's already eclipsed the FBI study on serial killers, the Mindhunter study, already eclipsed it. And so we went up there, and so she was
San Quentin.
To San Quentin.
Okay.
And this was right before they got
death row.
Right before they got rid of death row up there, which no one even knows, by the way.
Which I think that's a very dumb decision,
Exactly.
and it's going to come back and bite.
Yes.
Well, it's already bit.
It's already.
There's been people that have been killed, but
so
we were there. We were
there when
the
it was
only
happening.
people there filming.
So she had an appointment to go see. What's his name? Carpenter, David Carpenter, or something. I can't remember his first name, but he was like the something killer. But he's like in his 90s now. And so, she's a small 5'2" blonde, mid-30s. She goes in there dressed to kill, stiletto heels,
Wearing
black
a cross.
dress, her cross like that. And we sit in the cage with him, David Carpenter. We're sitting there, and it's like the room. It's like 6x4 cage, not like a cell.
is there a CO in there with you?
There's COs on the outside, but
okay.
we're locked in.
Oh yeah.
And so if something happens,
It would take at least, let's just say, 30 seconds. A lot of stuff.
No.
A lot of bad stuff. Could,
more like 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh,
because they don't
Jesus.
go in, and the guard doesn't go in. They call the CERT team.
Okay.
for cell extraction.
Yeah.
So they got to get all padded up.
She's a badass.
And
She
then in
does
the
this.
cage next to us, there's like 4 or 5 monster serial killers. So we're surrounded by and we're sitting like our chairs and our knees are touching. That's how close we are with it. And I saw crazy evil with this guy.
Yeah.
I saw crazy first, and then I would see glimpses of evil when she was talking to them. Because like she does this thing called, amazing technique that she uses called tactical empathy, where she gets them to, she'll be in the cage with them for 3 hours. And just to get one piece of information.
Yeah, break them down. Yeah.
Just talking about anything. She gets some sandwiches, like that. What do you want me to do for you on the outside? Stuff like that. Like she's like this, and then boom. Like 3 hours of conversation. In the last 5 minutes, she goes boom, boom, boom. She hits them with these like these daggers, and they're like boom, boom. She goes, yeah, I got the information.
Love it.
You know?
I could not go in, right? Because I was supposed to go into San Quentin, into the cage with them, and I am so open. I'm just know myself, right? Because when I've been into prisons, it takes me a while to get it off.
She's
of
a
me.
sponge.
It's just awful. It would take me, when we went to see Valentino, it took me like 3 days to get that off of me.
Got it.
And he wasn't even evil. Okay. So for me, I was like, I walked up to the thing and they were like, you can't come in because you have blue jeans on. And I was like, thank you, God. Because I really didn't want to go in. I knew if I went in, it was going to take me.
Yeah, no, she can't do that.
The evil is so pervasive.
Yes.
And you can feel it. And I've felt it with people that I've interviewed. You know, I've been sitting across from people and I can feel like you're not telling me the truth, number one. And number two, I know you've done bad things. I can feel it. So for me, it's like a heaviness.
Yeah.
And
I can pull up the wall.
He's really good at putting up the wall. But for me, I have a very hard time.
You know what? There was a guy here in town, and he was out here at our jail. He's actually on death row. Well, was. And they released him out of death row. And guess what? First thing he did, he stabbed another guy and killed somebody. He's probably one of the most evil people I've ever interviewed. And I just remember when I was talking to him, you could just feel it. You could see it. You could sense it. I mean, it's just like, you know, this guy. And this guy had the Adolf Hitler tattooed, like a full profile of Adolf Hitler on the back of his head. And he was bigger than me. And, you know, he used to tell me all the time, don't worry, little bitch, I ain't going to get you. And I used to tell him, if you ever come at me, we had those big skeleton keys. I was like, I'll jam this key in your ear. But Cindy, how do you emotionally process the darkness that comes with true storytelling?
Oh, I pray.
Okay.
I pray all the time. And, you know,
Burn sage.
I burn sage, candles. But we do that with Laura, like, because it was getting really heavy with the serial killers. Like, we were talking to them a lot. And I'm talking, I think, hours at a time. And when we would hang up the phone, I could feel them still in the room. Right. So I would go around the house with sage. I'm totally into all that stuff, cleansing and spiritual cleansing. And, but pray. Yeah. Always please protect our home from this evil energy, because sometimes it gets in. I mean, I'm very susceptible to like the devil coming in.
That's a good way to put it. And I will tell you this: you guys have been in rooms with those people, and we can't really describe it. I mean, you can describe it to people, but until you've done it, you're not going to feel it. And I used to tell people, you know, people are fascinated by serial killers. Obviously, anything with a serial killer always does very well. But I tell people, when you're around these people, you have to be on your toes, because these people, they've killed people before. They wouldn't hesitate to kill again. You don't know when they're going to kill again or why they're going to kill again.
Well, we had an incident with Laura. We were outside San Quentin. She was getting ready to go in to see Charles Ng. And Charles Ng is probably one of the most sadistic serial killers in the state of California, probably one of the most proficient ones.
Yeah.
And no one really knows too much about him. He's never spoke publicly, but he speaks to Laura. And Laura was getting ready to go in to meet him for the first time. And she has other friends in death row, other serial killers that look out for her, right? That look out for her because she's been doing this for 10 years. She's been going in there for 10 years. So they know her. They trust her. So we're outside and I'm having a bad feeling. And I tell him something's wrong. I don't like this. Something's not right. I don't want her to go in there. I don't trust this guy. I'm worried something's going to happen.
And then so she goes in, and it's an ordeal to get in. And like when she's in, we can't communicate.
We can't get her.
So we get a call from one of the other death row inmates. She's already been gone for like a half hour, saying,
"Get her out."
Did she leave yet? And I go, "Yeah, she's in there now." And she goes, "You got to get her out of there." He goes, "Ng was like, he was smuggling a razor blade in his Bible, and he was talking about
how he's going to kill her.
How he's going to kill her.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So she didn't go in.
And then
by
he
the
was
grace of God.
trying to get one of the cages that was furthest away from the cameras.
Oh, wow.
And by the grace of God, she did not get in to see him.
Yeah.
She came out and I was like, please. I said, I had a really bad feeling. And that's the thing. I always trust my gut.
Yeah.
I mean, I had an incident on a show. I won't say what show, but I was in Texas. And that morning I told my crew, I go, I have a weird feeling about this guy. He wanted to take us out to his cattle ranch. And I said, we're not going. I'm not going out there.
In the middle of
I go,
Timbuktu.
we're not going. We have security with us. We'll go to his house. We go to his house. And he was acting very erratic, and I had a bad feeling, and I kept telling everyone, just be ready to go as fast as we can if something goes down, because this guy is not acting right. And he looks at me and he goes, come here, I want to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, so I'm the director. I have to go talk to him. And he kind of gets me in an alcove up against, I was like a wall behind me, and like an alcove, so I couldn't really get out because he was blocking the door. My cameraman was behind him. He's watching. I have my earpiece in so I can hear them. And I'm holding onto my mic so they can hear me. And he's like, you remind me of my ex-wife. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not your ex-wife. I go, so let's just calm down.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but you know what she did? You would do something like that. You look just like her. And you're just a gold digger. And I'm like, okay. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. And then he turns around and he pulls out a knife like this and he holds it up to my throat.
Jesus.
And I literally don't move. I stand there frozen like an idiot, right? I'm like,
She freezes.
I freeze. Like I just freeze. Like, because I can't believe it's happening, to be honest. Like we're having a conversation, then 2 seconds later you got a knife at my throat. So my cameraman, thank God, like flew through the air and knocked the knife out of his hand and knocked him down. And I ran outside and I told everybody, run out, let's go. He goes in the closet. He's got like 80 guns. He's shooting guns through the roof of his house. He's going crazy. And I'm like, my instinct that morning was not to go.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You always have to trust your gut.
Yes, I agree.
Always. It is the only thing you have. It's your only compass. When we're doing this kind of work, I mean, Rob and I are the girls from the story producers would call me when we were doing Up and Vanish, and they'd be like, you guys are badasses. Like, you're upside down climbing along a tree over a rushing river in Colorado. Because like Rob said, like when we're doing it, we're not thinking, I'm walking in water that I would never walk in real life. No. I'm like, I'm up to my stomach. There's snakes in here. He's like,
Gators,
we're just trudging through it. Like,
doesn't even take the trash out.
I won't touch it. Like, he's like, because when you're working, you're so focused. Like, I just need to, we're filming this shot. I got to get this shot. Like, I'm not thinking like, oh, well, there's probably an alligator in here or a deadly snake or you had a moccasin snake on your water moccasin literally 2 inches away from you.
Very, very venomous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we just plowed through. I mean, we've been in some situations.
Yeah.
Rob, do you believe people are born broken or shaped by the wounds that life hands them?
I don't know about born broken.
Yeah. I don't think they're born.
I don't think anybody's born broken. I think when people are born, they're perfect.
Yeah.
And I think it's
product of their environment.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
There's a lot of them. Yeah. I mean, it's like, because it's.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we did do another show about DNA. And
well, that's different, but I don't think they're broken. I think they're susceptible. Like we did this when we were doing the Gary Ridgway thing. We were talking to this scientist who had brain mapped a bunch of serial killers, their brains, and he found a commonality.
I was going to say, I bet you there's a lot
of
commonality.
And what was really interesting is that he used his brain scan as like a baseline, and he put his up there, and he had the same thing. Then he asked his mother, he goes, did we have any kind of like weird relatives? And he goes, yeah, and they found out they had his uncle was a murderer. So it was like a DNA type thing. But it's like, he's not a mass murderer.
Yeah.
He has the same brain mapping as all these serial killers, but he didn't do anything. He actually used his, whatever that tendency that he has to kind of take it a next level. He became like a world famous neurologist, And so I do believe, to me, it's like, people are born. That's what always made me really like when I would go into these prisons and stuff like that. And I would go, all these guys were babies.
Yes.
They were all babies. They all came out of their mother's womb. They were all like the most innocent things on the planet. is a newborn baby.
I agree.
And then you look at him, now he's these tattooed monsters who have a rap sheet, and you find out what they've done both inside prison and outside prison. It's like, how do you get to that? So I'm a firm believer that you come in here as a clean slate. God provides you with a clean slate, and that it's your environment and what you do with your environment, whether or not, because there's a lot of people who have had horrible upbringings who turn out to be saints.
Well, think about it. There's something about us three, right? We chose not to live that life of crime. Mm-hmm. And, I used to tell people, and I put a lot of people in jail, and I used to say this, life is choices, right? Mm-hmm. It really comes down to choices. Mm-hmm. If you're choosing to do drugs and break into people's houses and rob stores, and you're become a sexual deviant or whatever these people are doing, I used to tell people, these are choices. Yeah. And us three, we made that choice that we didn't want to live that life. And, but I do. It's like I've seen a lot of people that their environment has pushed them into life of crime.
Sure.
Being raised by criminals.
Sometimes you have the outliers. You have the outliers, yes. Like, I had this guy that worked for me. He was a sound man, and he was a great sound man. And then I wanted to take him on the road because, he says, "You're great. I want to take you all over the country to the show." And he goes, "Well, I can't leave the state of Georgia." And I was like, "Why? What happened?" He goes, "Well, I was in prison." I go, "Where?" And he was like the nicest guy. I had no feeling of like dark energy in him. And he got into a bar fight, and guy hit him. He hit him back. He didn't get up.
Yeah, killed him.
Yeah. Manslaughter. Yeah. So he spent like 8 years in prison.
There's a lot of stories like that, brother.
And it's like
a lot of stories.
But like he made a choice to defend himself, and it turned his life. Fortunately, he did his time. He got out, and he was able to. So you have those outliers, but I think you're right. It is all about choices.
I totally yes.
It's all about choices and how you can capitalize on those, and how you can, and also like her dear friend used to say the whole thing, and she used to send it to my son all the time. He goes, "Do you want to soar with the eagles, or you want to hang out with the turkeys?"
Yes. Yes.
Because turkeys don't fly.
We always used to say this, and one thing we use in law enforcement, I used to tell guys, if you're hanging out with 5 idiots, you're going to be the 6th one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You hang out with 5 drug addicts, you're going to be the 6th one. And this, if you really want to elevate yourself, you got to hang out with people that are higher than you and let them elevate you.
Sure.
And, Cindy, what responsibility do creators have when telling stories about tragedy and victims?
Oh, they have a lot. We have a lot.
Yeah.
And I get very, very upset with other producers who do not take it seriously.
I agree.
And I've seen it happen. In fact, it happened on a case that we've been working on for 8 years. We did the first TV show about it, and then recently there was another TV show about it. And I thought it was very... it was kind of heartbreaking to watch, to be honest, because they didn't honor the victims the way that they should have. And we actually saw it on another show that we did where someone we were working with was basically victim shaming the victim.
Yeah.
And I flipped out on him and I said, "You know what? You better stop." I said, because he's not the problem here. You're getting caught up with these people who are pretending to be innocent, and you're believing them. And you're victim shaming the victim. I said, no, that's not happening. I'm not going to be a part of this. So there is a huge responsibility when you are producing true crime.
I totally agree.
And you got to get it right. You have to get it right. Now look at what happened with the Murdaugh case. They did all these documentaries, and now it just flipped, right? So
I cannot believe that that's happening.
I can't believe it either.
They're going to have to redo that case.
Uh-huh.
Listen,
he's going to get convicted.
He's going to get convicted, and he's not going anywhere anyway because he's already got 40 years for all the other bullshit that he had. But but just because of one person,
that clerk,
who's basically doing shit that she wasn't supposed to be doing,
capitalizing on it.
She was capitalizing on it, telling everybody, "Oh, you guys are all going to be."
Because didn't she write a book about it or something?
She wrote a book, and she was telling all the jurors, "You guys are all going to be famous." So she was
come on, it's ridiculous.
And
horrible.
It's just horrible. So now they have to go through all this stuff. I mean, and he's got no money to try this case. They had his attorneys on, I think, on the Today Show last week, and they're like, "Who's paying for this for you guys?" He goes, "These are high-profile defense attorneys." He goes, "Well, he doesn't have any money." They don't. So it's not. It's even though it's a speed bump, it's on the legal system.
When I watched that documentary on that Murdaugh thing, I was just I mean, you think about that family, they were dug in like Alabama ticks. They pretty much controlled that town. I mean, the could have been a great story, but it just shows how it just seems like every decision that family made was the wrong one. I mean, it was horrible.
Well, I mean,
by the end of it, I was pissed off.
You had the perfect storm. You had a very wealthy family who had been there for years, like generations.
Yes.
He was a top-notch lawyer. Okay. So he knew everybody.
He did.
Like, that's the problem. It's like, it's the good old boy network. It's like our friend Cheryl McMullen. She always sees that and she says, oh, that's home cooking.
Always home cooking.
That's home cooking. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like in these stories that we get drawn to, like we have 2 in Oklahoma right now, one of which is coming to a resolution after 13 plus years where they finally found the remains and I ID'd them. And we had been working with the Bureau of Indian Affairs on it and helping them. And it's all coming together, thank God, when we thought they were never going to find them. But that area, unfortunately, because they pay their law enforcement so little, they're all corrupt.
I was going to say, and you're not getting top talent.
You're not getting top talent.
Yeah, you're not going to get it.
The sheriff that was there for 16 years couldn't even write a simple sentence. He was barely literate. You know,
we always say this: you get east of the Mississippi, or even those small towns. Dude, law enforcement changes, brother.
And it's like, and the problem is, and there's so many great people there. We've met so many amazing people in Oklahoma, and the fact that this, they're afraid of law enforcement because,
corruption.
Yeah, they don't want, we would get, as soon as we started doing our podcast on this one particular one, we would get tons of tips. And they're like, will you come on the podcast? She goes, well, no. He goes, then they'll know who I am. I go, we'll disguise your voice. We won't tell you. So like that. And they go, oh, okay, I'll do it then. But they don't want to be identified.
Because after it's over, they still got to live there.
Exactly. So we still get that. So it's like, it's hard. There's a huge responsibility for us to expose what people are afraid to expose. But it's sad because there's a lot of great people out there and there's a lot of great law enforcement out there, but they get eclipsed sometimes by the bad guys.
Right.
I totally agree. Well, we're going to transition real fast.
Okay.
I am a master storyteller and I got a story for you guys.
Okay.
So suicide has plagued my family for as long as I can remember. Okay. So my grandfather killed himself the day that I started kindergarten. Then I had an uncle committed suicide. Then I had a cousin that committed suicide. And ultimately, I lost my sister to suicide.
Oh, my gosh.
And, this grief has a way of hitting us at times when we don't see it coming.
Oh, yeah.
You just don't, right? And so anyways, I didn't know it, but grief was coming for me and it reached right across the thin blue line and grabbed me and hit me right where I live and breathe. Okay. So my sister was kind of spiraling out of control. She had recently had this really bad breakup with this guy that she had a long-term relationship with. And I could see it coming. I could see the mood swings. And when I would try to talk to her, it just wouldn't work. And she was angry and but she was bipolar. And that was her Achilles heel. And so when she felt things, she felt them drastically.
Sure.
And nothing I could say, nothing I could do. But my sister had attempted suicide numerous times, and it was always by pills. But my sister played in a soccer league, and she was in phenomenal shape. Her metabolism was through the roof. And so when she would take these pills, her metabolism would basically save her before the pills could take hold. But this time, the pills took hold, but with the help of a ligature, okay? So anyways, it's a morning. Me and my partner, I'm in uniform. We're sitting in a restaurant. We're having breakfast, right? And I could still, to this day, I can hear the bacon sizzling and I can smell the coffee in the air of that day, okay? And my cell phone goes off, my work cell phone, and I answer it. And I should have known, but the dispatcher, I had a really good relationship with my dispatchers. And so when we would call, we would always have this funny banter between us. There was no banter. And she's like, hey, Jay, I got a detective from Tulare Police Department, and he needs to talk to you. Is it okay if I patch him through? And it was very somber for her. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I didn't pick up on anything, and I was like, yeah. And so the detective gets on the line with me, and the detective said, hey, brother, I got bad news. And before he could say anything, I just knew. He didn't even have to say it. I just knew it. And it, was right in my gut. And I was like, well, just tell me, brother. And he said, well, your sister passed away last night. And I said, where is she at? He goes, well, she was discovered in her home. And I said, I'll be on my way. And he said, roger that. So we hung up the phone. And as I'm sitting in this restaurant, the thought of my mother and the grief that I was just getting ready to go tell her, it flashed before my eyes. And before I knew it, I'm there in uniform and I'm in tears. And I was shaken. And my partner, I got to give it to him to this day, and his name's Joe Larhona, and I'll always love him for this. He had the wherewithal to do this. He knew enough not to say anything. He just reached out and he put his hand on my shoulder. Mm-hmm. And it was comfort. And I said, hey, brother, I got to drop you off. So I dropped him off. I called my boss. I told him what was going on. I said, hey, I need some days off. And he goes, take whatever time. And I said, can I take my car to Tulare? Because it's only like 10 miles that way. And he said, yeah. And he said, are you okay to drive? I said, I'm okay. But as I'm driving to Tulare, I remember thinking, my mom was very volatile. And I just remember thinking, it's probably better to do it over the phone, because I just knew. So I called my mom. I told her, and I said, hey, Mom. And my mom answered, and she was in such a good mood that morning, right? And I could hear the lightness in her voice. And so I said, Mom, I got to tell you something. And she's like, yeah, what's up? And I said, Jenny Ann passed away last night. Mm-hmm. And my mom, there was this pause, and then my mom just screamed bloody murder. Where? And I was like, she was discovered in her home, Mom. And so my mom goes, I'm on my way. And I said, Mom, wait for me. I'll be there in 10 minutes. And so I'm hauling ass down the freeway, and I pull up, and my mom's out in front of this apartment complex, and she's being held up by her neighbors. And the guttural scream coming from my mom is something I will never forget.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, it was like that guttural scream and those sobs where you just know this is something that is never going to be the same. And really, whatever magic my mom had, it took it. And if I'm not going to lie, part of me went dark with it. But my mom goes, we got to go to the scene. And I said, well, Mom, they're not going to let us in. She goes, we're going. So I put her in my cop car. We drive over there, and we pull up, and it's something right out of a movie, man. I mean, you got multiple cars out front. Lights are going. They got crime scene tape out there. And we pull up, and all the guys, they all recognized me. And so they said, hey, we're going to go get the supervisor. And I said, yeah, no problem. So the supervisor comes out, and he had a lot of empathy. And he's like, Jay, it's an active scene. I cannot let you in. And I said, me personally, I do not want to see her like that. I go, I don't want to remember. But my mom, she begged to go in there, and she wanted to go and pray over my sister and hold her daughter one last time. But, procedure has a way of taking that out of the mix. And so the guy goes, ma'am, I can't let you see that. And so I almost had to drag my mom away. And we got in the car, and my mom was just sobbing. And I just remember the sobs are just echoing off of the cage. And my mom, so we get to my mom's house, and I was there for a couple hours. My mom's asking me 1,000,001 questions of why this happened. And, obviously a lot of this stuff, there's
no why.
There is no why. And there's no answer to these questions. No. But I was, and so anyways, but even to this day, my sister's favorite band is The Cure, right? And so if I hear any song from The Cure, it stops me cold. And we always used to say this about my sisters because she was so hard. I used to say she was hard as woodpecker lips, right? Because she had a way of keeping everybody at arm's length. And my sister had a lot of anger towards me because she asked me many times, why don't you have bipolar? Why do I have to deal with this shit and you don't? Well, what do you say to that? There was no answer to that, right? But my sister was my family. She was my heart. And so anyways, but years later, I had this conversation with our father who was not a good dad to us. And I told my dad one day, I said, Pop, her not having a relationship with you was one of the things that really made this happen. You do know that, right? And he was like, oh, I don't know why you're saying that. And I said, because it's the truth, Dad. Because she chased that love and that relationship she wanted from my dad in one broken relationship after another, right? So anyways, I tell that story in this. It changed me in this. It made me a whole lot more empathetic when I was dealing with people that were dealing with mental health issues. Sure. Because before that, I was not empathetic.
Yeah.
But when it reaches across and slaps you in the face, especially with your own family members. Sure. So I would like to dedicate this episode to my sister. Her name was Jenny Ann Dern. And I still think of her often. And, I think one of the things about, especially doing this show, I think it's one thing it's done for me. It's illuminated this. I think that we have to tell these stories and we have to be in the light, even when the light hurts sometimes, right? So
it's hard.
It's very hard.
And thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I can tell it was not easy to tell you.
It's something that still hits me right where I live and breathe, brother. And, and my sister died in 2010, and I still think of her a lot more often than I let on, And all right, we're going to transition to a lightning round real fast.
Okay.
And I'm going to go, we're going to go like this, right?
All right.
So
that was a hard transition.
That's a hard transition.
It's a hard transition. But, do you guys need a bathroom break real fast?
I'm good.
You're good? Fine. Okay, let's do it then. Here we go. Rob,
one
story that changed your life forever.
That's a tough one.
One of your serial killer ones?
No, I think it was before that.
Okay.
I think it was before that. When I realized, when I finally realized that, like when my 18th birthday, I think this is what really changed it. My 18th birthday, my friends and I, we were just, we were jocks, but we liked to party.
Got it.
Okay.
Oh, I was a big partier myself.
Exactly. So it was the 80s. It was like, I said, my life.
Different times.
My high school life was like that movie Dazed and Confused.
Yes.
That's what it was. Jocks who partied and would go like that. So, and I was at that point, April, my birthday's in late April and my senior year. And so we were going to have a party at my house because my parents were going out. And so they came home early and we were all lit up at that point. I was like, why'd they come home early? It's like that. And my dad, because he's a party guy, he basically took over the party. And so there was a moment where he was hanging out with my friends at the kitchen table and I was sitting in the living room. So I couldn't see them, but I could hear their conversation. And I was pretty whacked out. I was pretty wasted. And I was sitting there and I was listening to him talk to my friends and the conversations that they were having with him. And it was like, almost like it wasn't my dad. Because he was having like a real conversation. Like they were asking, Mr. Dorfmann, do you believe in God? Do you believe in this? There was like really kind of deep, heady conversations. Because we were all like stoned and drunk and stuff like that. So and I'm like listening to him talk to him. And it didn't even sound like my dad. And I had already decided that I wanted to, at that point, I was going to go into the Marine Corps. I didn't apply to any colleges. Like late April, my senior year, I hadn't applied to any colleges. Most people doing it like the beginning or their end of their junior year. I was like, I was going to do that. And so I heard that and it made me mad. Why wasn't he that open with me?
Yeah.
Why couldn't he have been that way with me? And I got up and I walked out of my house and I walked around in the rain till the sun came up. And I literally, in that moment, I figured out my whole life.
Wow.
I decided because I wasn't a student. I wasn't like that. And I go, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to apply to college. I'm going to go to school and I'm going to do great. I kind of mapped out everything I wanted to do in that haze that I was walking into in the rain. And that was a significant moment for me. And that I literally laid out and planted out what I wanted to do. And then literally I went to college. Since I applied so late, I had to start college 2 weeks after I graduated high school. So when all my friends and everything were partying and for the whole summer before they all went to college or did whatever they were going to do, I was like, I had to teach myself how to be a student. Because my parents were like, well, listen, we're not paying for it because you didn't do anything.
Yeah, Kutztown, right?
Kutztown, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were the only place that accepted me. I got in because my next door neighbor was friends with my guidance counselor who was an admission officer there. So the conditional acceptance, I had to go through this program. And it was called the Ability and Development Program that I was in, which we affectionately, all of us in it, we called it All Dumb People.
Yeah.
ADP.
Yeah.
And then I found out there during that period, they tested me and they basically said I was a genius.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like one of those things where I was like, what? Everybody's been telling me, has been dumb casting me my whole life, saying you can't do this, you can't do that. He's just slow or he doesn't do this. And
it's like the smartest man I've ever met. It drives me crazy.
I was a visual learner.
But you have to, and I think guys like us, it's got to be something that you're interested in.
Oh, interested in laser.
Yeah, because if you're not interested, then your heart's not in it. And
you just can't keep attention.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably my pivotal moment because literally after that, it all changed. I went to college. Not only did I go to college, I graduated a 4-year program in 3 years, magna cum laude, high grade point average, and I wasn't even a student. Like when I first got there, I didn't even know how to study. Like my first semester, I was failing all my classes because I was trying so hard and I was still failing. I go, maybe I am dumb. And then by the second semester, it all kicked in and I figured out how to do it.
Well, I was recently telling a classroom of kids, this is what I said. I said, school's not fun.
Yeah.
I said, you got to do the work. And doing the work sometimes is not fun. But I said, you're going to have to sacrifice. When everyone wants to go party, you're going to be at home writing papers and reading stuff that you probably don't want to. But I go, but remember this, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly.
Right? Cindy, one word that defines your journey.
One word. Oh, man, that's a tough one.
I tell you what, for me, I always say mine is tenacity. I'm tenacious.
I'm just determined.
Determined?
I'm just not going to give up.
I'm just stubborn.
Got it. Love it. Rob, most powerful interview you've ever experienced?
Ooh. I think when I interviewed the former Secretary of State, James Baker, in his office at the Carlyle Group.
Was he the one that got shot?
No, James Baker. No, James Baker was the Secretary of State for
Brady.
the Bushes.
Brady was the one that got shot.
He was the one. He was basically the most powerful guy in the White House for the first George Bush and the second George Bush.
Yes.
And it was like in his office, there was these gigantic photographs of him with all heads of state in the Oval Office room, and he's always the one. He's like whispering, and he's in every picture. He's whispering in Ronald Reagan's ear, George Bush's ear, like that. He was a super powerful man. And he was head of the Carlyle Group at that point, which if anybody knows anything about the Carlyle Group, it's like this
think tank, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically their letterhead. The top portion of it is all former heads of state from all over the world.
Yeah.
It's like the deep state.
Yeah.
It's a deep state corporation. Yeah. And he was the head of it. And I had to interview him in his office. And when I got to the point where I asked him, because he was there during when the Russians were in Afghanistan, and we were sending arms to the Afghanis and the Northern Alliance. And when I asked him, interview was great, because I was interviewing about a bunch of stuff. I was interviewing about the Berlin Wall going down. It was a whole host of stuff. And so when I asked him, I go, did you have any idea that when you were funding the Northern Alliance and giving arms and stuff like that, that you were creating Al-Qaeda? Because that's what happened.
Yes.
And he looked at me, and I swear to God, this man was so polite to me the whole time. He was, Southern gentleman. His face turned beet red, and he got really mad. And I'm like, whoa. And I was there by myself because it was like a shooter producer. I had cameras set up and like that. And he goes, how do you think we would know? How did we know? We were fighting the Russians. We were in the Cold War. And he went like that. And it was like, and I walked away from that. And I didn't really think too much about it. I felt bad that I got him mad. I thought I was going to get in trouble.
Yeah,
that I got
that's
pissed
a
off.
great question to ask somebody in his position.
Exactly. And then when I got back and I forgot about it, and they were in post because it didn't go to post for like 2 weeks later. And the owner of the company called me up and he goes, Rob, you really fucking got into him. I mean, he's pissed. He goes, this interview's amazing. And I'm like, and I thought he was going to yell at me. And I was just like, and that to me, I think that was pretty powerful.
That's very powerful.
You know?
Cindy.
Yes.
A quality every great storyteller must have.
Should be easy because you have them.
Yeah, I know. But it's like, the thing is, it's like, you have to trust your instincts. It's all your story instincts. Like, don't second guess yourself. I self-edit when I drive myself insane. Yeah. I will write something and rip it up. And he gets pissed because he's like, that was good. What'd you throw it out for? And you just have to just let it flow. Let it flow.
I totally agree. Like me, I'm a master storyteller. I tell a story on every one of my episodes, and a lot of these stories, especially the cop ones, I've told 1,000,001 times, right? And it's always the same. But you have to be able to, and I also say this, you got to be descriptive, and you got to be able to bring people there and tell them what it looked like, what it felt like, what it smelled like, all those things. And if somebody tries to tell me a story and they don't have the pageantry, it falls flat, you know?
Yeah, I'm a visual storyteller. So like my writing is very visual.
I can see that.
And I want people to feel it, experience it, feel like they're in the place that I'm writing about. So
got it.
Yeah.
Rob.
Yep.
Fear or curiosity, which has guided you more?
Oh, completely fear.
Yeah. You know what? There's something about guys like us, you too, fear of failure has made us go farther, achieve more than we could ever, because there's something about this. If you don't have the fear of failure, I think there's just people just take it haphazardly. Like me, I will work my butt off. You will too. You will too. There's something about that.
But it was also fear of the unknown.
Yes.
It's like I would always push myself. It's like if I didn't do anything, I was always, I guess daring.
Yes.
Doing stuff. Like I used to have dirt bikes when I was a kid, and I would be like, Evel Knievel was a hero.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got my dirt bike, what was I doing? I'm jumping.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
If I'm doing that, or if I used to steal my parents' cars when I was 13, 14, before I had my license, and I would they'd be sleeping on the couch and I'd go driving. So it was like that. I liked that adrenaline surge from the potential catastrophe that's going to happen.
Yeah. Cindy, a moment in your career that felt surreal.
Well, the elevator with Steven Spielberg. I know there's so many times. I mean, sometimes when we're working and we're looking at each other, we're like, is this really happening? Are we really doing this? We make stuff from nothing. So, our podcast, 2 of our podcasts sold into TV shows, and we're sitting on set and we're like, wow, this is happening.
Manifested it.
We manifested this. We manifested this. So, yeah, there's been so many things, over the years. But that, to me, I think is the biggest, because we did this from scratch.
Yeah.
You guys are, and I'll just tell you this, for me, I don't look up to a lot of people. I look up to you guys.
Oh,
I really do. Rob, one lesson war zones taught you about humanity.
Ooh, that they lie.
Yes.
That they lie. Like when I was over there, and when we were hearing about it before I went over, there was all these countries that said that they weren't going to be involved in this war on terrorism and everything. And then what people don't realize, that before we invaded Afghanistan, the Egyptian desert outside of Alexandria next to the Mediterranean probably had 1 million troops in there from all over the world. And they were all set up right next to each other, and they're all spying each other. And countries that said that they weren't involved, they were involved and they were helping out. So a lot of misinformation, that's when I realized, because I was there, I was right there. And they didn't even know I was there. They didn't know I was press.
Yeah.
Because I was dressed in not in camos with these guys, but I had just khakis on, and I had a flak jacket on, and I had a Kevlar helmet on, but I had a camera.
Yeah.
And it didn't say press across me, so they thought I was one of them. So I saw a lot of things that people didn't get a chance to see. And I don't know if it's whether or not they lie, they just don't tell you about it.
Also, too, I think war zones really highlight that there's a real dark side to humanity.
Yeah.
I mean, war is nasty. I mean, I never served in a war, but anytime I've ever seen anything about a war, it's not fun and games. And, there's a lot of people that get killed unnecessarily.
And ironically, the people that I was there with, a couple of them, and this is like 2001, I'm like these young Marines that I met there, still friends with them today.
Love it. Cindy, what inspires you more, chaos or creativity?
Creativity.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I thrive in chaos.
Yeah.
It's just since a child,
Yeah.
chaotic, whatever. I'm really good putting things in order in chaos, but creativity for me, that's it. It's like, when I get an idea and I got to sit down and do it, I got to do it, or I'll just like push it off. And
that's where me and you're the same. It's like, hey, when I get something like these episodes, right? When I'm preparing for this, hey, I go upstairs, I disappear for hours, and my wife knows this. I'm in that office, I'm coming up with this because for me, in my opinion, if you two think enough of me to come here and come onto my podcast, I want to be properly prepared. I want to ask you questions because you guys took it out of your time to come down here or come up here and interview with me. So I take these very serious because I want to be prepared. I want my listeners to know I do my due diligence, Rob, most unforgettable person you've ever interviewed?
There's been a lot.
You interviewed Clint Eastwood. That was pretty cool.
I didn't really interview him. I actually kind of directed him.
Okay.
And he was amazing. I mean, I love telling that story because he was coming in. They basically nominated him to be the chairperson for the law enforcement museum in DC that they were building at the time. And I had just gotten the luck of the draw because I was basically the EP of that company. When they brought him in, they needed someone to kind of work with him to just sit in a chair and read from a teleprompter and stuff like that. And he was everything that you thought he would be. He was cool. He was calm. He was really nice. He was super empathetic. Like his handlers told me, "Oh, you only have him for 20 minutes." And then and I thought he was going to come with a bunch of entourage and stuff. He was actually finishing up editing that movie J. Edgar that he just done. So he came right from Warner Brothers, which was right down the street from us. And he shows up in a beat up Mercedes, and it was like middle of the summer, and he was wearing like a tweed jacket with arm patches, and it's like 95 degrees. It's like, and his hair was all messed up. He was just so real. He looked like the guy, he reminded me of the guy from the movie where he plays the old guy where he's lived next to the Asian people.
Oh, yeah.
I can't
Gran
remember.
Torino.
Gran Torino.
Yeah.
That's his personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's his personality.
Yeah. And
it was like very clear that that's what he was like.
You know what? I am a movie buff. And, I'm obviously the Dirty Harry movies. I mean, dude, I could almost quote all those movies, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I love those movies.
That was culture.
Cindy, one trait that makes a great leader.
Honesty.
Yeah.
Integrity.
And that's, sadly enough, that's becoming few and far between. And
I just think integrity. I mean, I want to follow someone. Well, first of all, I don't like to follow anybody, but if I were to follow somebody, I want to follow somebody that I believe in. Like, I totally want them to have integrity. I don't want them to lie to my face,
Yeah, we always, and one thing in law enforcement, we always say integrity, it's doing the right thing when nobody's watching. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want from my leaders.
Yeah, but for what you're doing, it's integral because you're following somebody that is going to put you in harm's way.
Correct.
You want for us, no one's dying for a bad TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so much important what you do and in real life.
Yeah. I mean, this is
here we just get a failed TV show.
Whatever.
Someone gets fired. Someone dies.
Correct. Rob, a story you still carry in your heart.
I know which one.
What are you thinking?
Gunga Din, you've been wanting to do this stupid thing forever.
Yeah, I tell you, that's one of the things goes back to where my father got me really involved in stories and old movies. No matter what was going on in our lives when I was growing up, if Gunga Din, it's this old movie from the 30s or 20s with Cary Grant, and they based pretty much Spielberg used that as the blueprint for the Indiana Joneses.
Okay.
That style. And in that era, and whenever that movie was on, my dad, we had to stop everything. He would drag me out. He would drag me out of bed, and he was with Gunga Din's on. It's like that. And so it's always been in the back of my mind. That kind of, it was a swashbuckling.
Yeah,
it was and it was fun, and it was like Cary Grant was like in his heydays. He was like, it was. So that kind of story
was like the blueprint for like suave.
It was amazing, and he was comedic, and it was fun.
Yeah,
he was like what Harrison Ford became.
Yeah.
Except Cary Grant was way better looking.
Yeah.
But that I would say, yeah, you're right. I think it is. And I have a poster of it in my office. And
love it.
And that she got me. And, but yeah, I would say that.
Cindy, biggest sacrifice behind success?
It's, it's personal for each person. Everybody's different. I mean, I think that it takes a toll. You have to balance your personal life and your work life. We have a hard time doing that. I have a hard time doing that. So I think that's something that we should all work on. I think that, taking time out of work, which is what Europe was really good for me, because when I lived there, I was forced to take a vacation. I had to take 6 weeks vacation. I just think that work can take over.
I totally agree. Rob, one word to describe storytelling.
Truth.
I agree. If you're going to tell something, I want it to be truth.
And here's the thing. The truth is way stranger than fiction.
Yes, it is.
It's always way more complicated.
Yes.
Like you sit there and you try to write, I'm going to write this great scene like that. And then you read an article about something that happened. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
There's no way that happened.
I agree.
Some of these true crime stories, like the one in Oklahoma that we just found the remains, it's a cross between Breaking Bad and Ozarks.
Yeah.
You can't write this.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy.
We always used to say that. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. Yeah.
No.
Cindy, what keeps your creativity alive?
Oh, that's tough. You do.
Okay.
You do. Because you push me. Mm-hmm. You push me.
I push you and then I push you away.
You push
from
me.
away.
Yeah, you push me to not be there for 25 hours a day.
Exactly.
But also, I mean, it's like, I don't know, creativity for me happens all the time. But I think it's just, you got to trust it.
Yeah, I get it.
To me, creativity is born from problem solving.
Yes. Rob, a moment you knew you were exactly where you were meant to be.
I guess when I got that call on the yard in Folsom.
Okay.
Because why me?
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out why me.
Yeah. But you know what? You're right. Sometimes I think it is destiny, fate, right?
I mean, there's a line that's in my bio that I wrote there where it says, I've always been in a place when history decides to reveal itself.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Great quote. Yeah. Cindy, dream project you still hope to create?
There's so many. There's so many.
Well, we got one now. The podcast that we did on the escape from Alcatraz that we have on right now, that we met and we're partners with the nephew of the two guys who escaped. So we've done the television show. Right now we're doing the documentary, which is coming out. We just found out August 6th.
Yes, on Discovery
Channel.
Love it.
So this
the
year,
scripted version we want to do.
We own the book rights.
Okay.
So now we're trying to sell that because I think it's the story. The documentary series is only 3 episodes. Doesn't even scratch the surface.
I was going to say, there's too much of that story to...
No.
Yeah.
Doesn't even scratch the surface. And I think, we've been kind of just trying to cast it. We're using our audience as to help us cast who would be to try to generate interest. And it's been really fun.
Yeah.
Say who would play John Anglin, who played Clarence Anglin, who played Mickey Cohen, who played Whitey Bulger, who play all these people in there. So it's been really fun because it's 2 like you said, stranger than fiction. There's no way.
That and Laura's story I want to do.
Yes.
The scripted version of Laura's story, because she's just amazing.
She is amazing.
Well, if you guys need, I can play Whitey if you guys want.
There you go.
Rob, hardest truth you've learned about people?
Oh. It's the loss of illusion of people recognizing that they're really not what they say they are.
I agree. I've seen that. You know what? My job as a cop did something really bad to me. Is for a long time I only saw the worst in people, and it's gotten better now. But you can be let down, and we saw a lot. I saw a lot of people do a lot of really evil things, and there was a time that we looked at humanity pretty rough. But no, you're right, Cindy. What gives a story soul?
Characters. You have to develop your characters when you're writing a fiction, even nonfiction. I mean, I think our stories and documentaries are good because of the people that we interview,
absolutely.
and their stories. And I think that it always comes down to the character. It always comes down to the person that is telling their story.
Well, you guys are highlighting, I mean, these stories are just interesting as hell. I mean, dude, that escape from Alcatraz, I mean, that thing, I mean, think about this. There was the movie, there's how many documentaries, books, all this stuff. I mean, that is a very, very interesting subject, period, hands down. Rob, most dangerous situation you've ever filmed in? War zone, maybe?
No, actually wasn't. I felt so safe. I was with the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit.
Yeah.
6,000 Marines, Force Recon.
Yeah.
Okay. I was pretty...
Yeah, you were safe.
Well, I was pretty well protected. In fact, I was like, I had a sat phone, and I was calling back home, and because they wouldn't get me K&R insurance. I don't know if anybody knows what K&R insurance, kidnap and recovery insurance.
Yes.
When they send reporters and producers out into hostile environments, it's like a $2 million policy, and they said, well, if they're not going to do it, I go, I want a cell phone, I want a satellite phone, I want to be able to use it whenever I want. And so I was calling back home, and I was finding out the anthrax stuff was happening. They sent an envelope to Tom Brokaw. There was a lot of shit that was happening while I was over there, and so that was scary because my family's back there. Everybody's there. We didn't know if there was going to be more bombings or planes going into buildings.
It was a scary time.
It was a scary time. So, but honestly, when I was with them, I didn't feel scared. But I've been in a couple squad cars during shootings.
Oh yeah, you said you've been shot at?
Yeah. When we were like out and like that. But it's probably there. But even then, it didn't seem. You get so focused. I get like an animal. I get so laser focused that I'm like, all right, where am I at? Like, about a few years back, we came back from we were in Miami for my birthday. We got back at like 2:30 in the morning, and I woke up at 4:30 and I had the windows open. I heard gunshots. And you saw our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Gated community. Yeah, beautiful neighborhood.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I start hearing people yelling and screaming. And I hear gunshot. And so I yell out the window. I go, I'm calling the fucking cops. And then, and then all of a sudden I hear more. And another gunshot. And I'm like, so first thing I do, I just throw pants on, no shoes, no shirt. I run outside and I got my phone. And I'm like trying to find out where, and it's like literally right in that patch of grass where you parked.
Yeah.
It's right there. So like maybe
he runs right into it. I called the cops 9 times. Finally, they show up.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching. I'm telling them, "Hey guys, we just called the cops. You better." And the guy's walking at him, the gun. His girlfriend's trying to tackle him with the gun, so that this gun's going to go off again because they're drunk off their ass. And so I didn't think about anything. I just ran towards it, and I'm like. And she's like going crazy.
I bet she wanted to strangle you.
Well, we had just been in Florida, and not for your birthday, but with what happened when we were on Brandon's shoot.
Oh, yeah.
We're in the car. We were just taking some B-roll of Miami. We get into the car, and we have the camera guy in the back seat, and all of a sudden, we are surrounded.
That was pretty scary.
That was really scary. We're surrounded by cops and big armored trucks, and the woman next to us is revving her engine, and she's dumping. She's dumping cocaine out the
drugs out the
freaking window.
And we're at a light, and they shut down the light.
They shut down the light, so she's right next to us. We're like this.
Revving the engine.
She's revving the engine. All the pointed long guns
We're in the crossfire.
pointed at us, and we're sitting there, and the dogs are running around, and we're like ducking down, and we're filming it as we're ducking down.
I got out of the sunroof, and I'm like this.
So we're like,
Like
holy
this.
shit. And the cops are like, get down, get down. So like we're in the car, and I'm like, oh my God.
One cop's telling us to get down, other cop is telling us to get out of the car.
Right.
And we're like,
so
what do we do?
What do we do? There's
Yeah.
dogs out the door. What do we do? So finally we get out, and this is like half an hour later.
Yeah.
They're finally like, go, go, go. I mean, this was insane. This woman was going to ram everybody and kill everybody. It was insane. It was all over the news.
What happened was that we were sitting at the light, and a plate reader read her thing, and she was driving a stolen car, and so she was sitting right next to us, and it kicked up, and so we were in traffic, and so we couldn't go anywhere. We had cars in front of us coming back, and she was right next to us,
And she's like revving, like she's going. That's
like she's
it.
gonna run the other cars.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Cindy, best advice you've ever received?
I think it's from you, who said you really just have to think about your emotions and put them over here and not get so attached to your material. Because I get very attached to my work. I get very hurt when it's not taken the way that it's meant to be taken. And so I had spent many years trying to harden myself to criticism and rejection and all the things that go with this industry. But he has been very good about teaching me how to separate those two things.
Yes.
That's one person's opinion. That's not a global opinion, and it's not the truth all the time. So
I think too, though, for your own mental and emotional well-being, you do have to separate it.
You have to.
Because if you don't, right. And then, you guys are dealing with very sad stories, people victimized, traumatized. And you have to almost step back from it and really look at it kind of objectively because you're
But
right.
it's hard.
Oh, it is hard.
It's hard because every story, every victim's family, we're like personal friends with these people. They become family. And it's become that relationship because they trust us.
Yes.
All right. And it's like, so we really value that trust. And so when you have someone you can trust, when someone trusts you like that, it's hard not to get connected to them.
It's very hard.
When they sit there and you go, you did right by me.
Yes.
I trust you implicitly. And when someone gives you that carte blanche to tell their story because they trust you,
it's a huge responsibility.
It's powerful.
It is powerful. I agree. Rob,
Yeah.
one emotion true crime leaves you with most often?
I would have to say it's not even emotion when you're dealing with something else. It's more kind of a feeling.
Yeah.
It's more like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it's
because
like-
you're dealing with some of the worst people in humanity.
Exactly.
Period.
Yeah, on both sides. So like
Yeah.
we're dealing with criminals. We're also dealing with sometimes law enforcement who should be doing this and they're not doing it correctly.
Correct.
Because there's the politics, because of covering their own ass, and they're gonna let someone either go free or not be charged because it's too much work.
Yeah.
It's too much work. It's going to cost too much money, and unless it's a slam dunk, they're not even going to make the effort.
You know what? We used to say this, that not every case is going to have 5 eyeball witnesses with video. It's just not. And, and that's when it really behooves us to, hey, dig down. We have a thing. It's called get off your ass and start knocking on doors and trying to find witnesses, right? Cindy, what does success feel like now compared to 10 years ago?
Oh, I was just more optimistic about things 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I really was. I was so excited. We were starting to sell shows, and I just sold my first show to National Geographic Channel, and we started our production company, and we were so excited. We got all these development deals, and I was just so optimistic, and Rob was always trying to remind me, like, it's still an industry, it's still a business. It can be a really soul-crushing industry, right?
Oh.
So
I love the quote Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, it's an up at dawn, pride swallowing siege.
Yes.
So now it's like, yeah, we got these two things, but it's been a challenge. They've both been challenging, and it didn't look the way I thought it was going to. Let's just say that for me, like I didn't expect to feel the way I feel. So I think that success is a long trajectory. It is not something that happens quickly.
I was going to say, it's not overnight.
It's not. I mean,
it's never.
It's not. And still, I still feel like I haven't accomplished the things that I still want to accomplish. I want to make a movie. I want to finish my book. I want to do this. I want to do that. I mean, there's so many things that I'm still not there yet. So I think it's a continuation.
I get it. Rob, one person who shaped your life profoundly.
My mother.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cindy, what role does intuition play in storytelling?
Oh, for me, it's like 95%.
She's the intuition.
It is. It's like literally. It's how I'm guided. I'm guided by my intuition. My intuition's right. I know what makes a good story.
It's even supernatural.
It is. It's supernatural.
You tell the story about when we were doing
Green River Killer.
Green River Killer when you woke up.
Okay, so I was looking for this victim's mother because she was Gary Ridgway's prized victim. And I wanted to tell her Kelly's story. And I kept having dreams about her. And I was like, I really got to find her mom. I got to find someone that we can interview. And I mean, this was like we were getting ready to go on the plane to Seattle the next day. And we hadn't booked anybody. And that's just that never happens. Like I always have everything buttoned up and everyone lined up who I'm interviewing. And so I was freaking out because I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to tell Kelly's story now. What am I going to do? 3:00 in the morning, I get a phone call. I'm like dead asleep. I wake up and this woman says, hi, is this Cindy? I'm like, yeah, who's this? She's like, this is so-and-so. I'm a psychic and I run Kelly's website for her mom. And I have her mom's phone number and she is off on a cruise in Alaska right now. And I can tell you she'll be back in a couple of days. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Who are you? And how did you find me?
And she was on the East Coast.
And she was on the East Coast. She was in Georgia. And I'm like,
wow.
And I go, okay. And I like write it down. And I was like half asleep. I hang up and I'm like, you're not gonna believe this. I call her mom. Her mom's like, yeah, we'll be there in 2 days. So we like drive we fly to Seattle. We drive from Seattle. We go to Oregon. Now this has never happened either. This is why I know Kelly's spirit was with us, okay? Because this has never, ever happened to us, never in 25 years. So we sit down with Tasca, who's this beautiful woman, who's like a singer and just like a lovely woman. But I could tell that she was like closed off, right? I was like, okay, this interview was very canned. I felt like the interview was very like superficial. Yeah. I wanted to know what happened for real. Why was Kelly hanging out with these people? Why was she in this world? How did she get caught up with Gary Ridgway? I wanted to know the real deal. And she wasn't giving us that. She gave us a surface level interview. And I was really bummed because I was like, that didn't really
Wasn't
go.
he killing prostitutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Kelly wasn't a prostitute.
Okay.
She wasn't a prostitute. A lot of the girls were not prostitutes. I mean, that was a misconception. But
they were runaways.
And they were having problems with their moms and dads, whatever. So we leave. She's lovely. We leave. And
we go like down the street.
Go down the street and Rob's like, you know what? Let me check the audio.
No. I want to look at the
I want to look at the footage, right?
So I'm looking at the camera and there's no audio.
There's no audio. The whole interview.
Wow.
2 hours, no audio. Sound guy's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm like, are you kidding me? We just did an interview. That has never, ever happened. So we go back and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Please, can we interview it? Okay, she sits down and this time she tells the real story.
Wow.
And she cracks and she starts crying and she tells us everything. And I was like, Kelly, thank you so much. Because I knew Kelly wanted to tell me the story. Now, this happened recently with Steve McNair. Kept having a dream about someone named Jenny. Jenny. Who the hell is Jenny? I didn't know anything about the Steve McNair murder. I wasn't in the country when it happened. I wasn't here. I didn't know anything about it. He calls me and he brings me into a meeting and he's like, yeah, we're going to be talking to these people about the Steve McNair murder today. And I'm like, okay. So we get on the call and they're like, yeah, Jenny. And I'm like, what? The girl's name is Jenny? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, we have to do this. I go, this girl's been trying to reach me in my dreams. She's got a message. Listen, I believe in this stuff. I know for a fact it's happened to me too many times. These people are coming to me and speaking into me in my dreams and whatnot. They want their stories told. So when we started doing this, I started digging in and I'm like, there's something not right with this story. This is not what happened. So, I mean,
she's all intuition.
Yeah, I am. 99%.
Yeah.
Love it. Rob, if your career had a title, what would it be?
That's a good one. I don't know.
Storyteller?
No, that's too weak.
Okay.
It's got a little bit more edge to it. I would say colossal.
Okay.
Because I never in a million years thought I would have been around the world a couple times. Never thought I'd be in a war zone. Never thought that I'd see the things that I've seen.
Yeah.
I couldn't have even imagined that
Plus,
I'd be.
man, you've been around some very, very influential people,
Exactly.
very famous people.
Yeah.
I mean, both your stories are just, I mean, these things are phenomenal. I got a quote I want to read you. Okay. Some people chase stories, but the rare ones become part of the story itself. You have spent your lives walking into the shadows of humanity, not to glorify darkness, but to uncover the truth, resilience, and fragile beauty hidden within it. Through wars, crime scenes, interviews, and moments where history revealed its face, you carried a belief that every voice matters and every life leaves an echo. Together, you have shown us that storytelling is more than entertainment. It is memory, accountability, and the bridge that reminds us we are never alone in our struggles. Your journey stands as proof that curiosity can become courage and partnership can become purpose. In a world that often moves too fast to truly listen, you have dedicated your lives to hearing the heartbeat beneath the noise, and perhaps that is your greatest legacy of all. Not simply the stories you told, but the humanity you refuse to let the world forget.
It's very nice.
That's very nice.
When I read that today, I thought of you too.
No, that's very nice. Thank
It's
you.
very nice. It's very
Yeah.
nice. Where's
So,
that from?
You know what? To be honest, I pieced it together with a couple of things.
Very good.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty on point.
Yeah, it is.
For us.
It's very on point for you guys. And
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is that you don't realize when you're in it, you don't realize what's happening.
Yeah,
You don't realize
yeah.
because you're so focused on just grinding that you don't realize the impact that you've done. Like we don't like when, a lot of times, you sit there, we get a lot of positive comments from our podcasts and stuff like that. And every once in a while you get the trolls. And
you're always good.
and I love the trolls because I'm like, hey, listen, we're striking a chord. And it's like they said, there's no bad press. There's no bad breath. And there's no bad press. So it's hard to really, so it's nice to hear that stuff because we take it for granted because we're just, to us, it's commonplace to just, all right, let's get the truth out. Let's get this person on the podcast. This person's going to illustrate what, because no one's going to they'll listen to us tell a story, but we need someone who can justify and tell the audience what's really going on.
I agree.
That's why we had you on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because we don't have 25, 30 years worth of law enforcement experience.
Correct.
I mean, we can say, hey, it doesn't pass our sniff test, but
Yeah.
we've never arrested anybody. We never kind of hunted somebody down as far as that and taken to trial. I mean, we've always been on the periphery of that. So we can only kind of speculate,
Yeah.
but people who actually do it, we really appreciate the people who do it and do it really well and make it look easy.
Yeah.
That's where you really, and we've been around those people and it's just like, they make it look easy.
Well, you know what? There's something in me, like my dad was a bail bondsman, a private investigator, and a bounty hunter. My grandfather was the first constable of a little town called Pixley, which is 20 miles that way, right? And so there's something in my bones, and I was born to do
Sure.
this, right? And really, that's really, and, you know, and
It was imprinted on you as a young age.
correct. And I always tell people this: I was born to protect people that can or won't protect themselves. And I said, but I'm also born now. I was born to be a storyteller, and that's probably one of my greatest gifts. Well, folks, we're going to wrap up real fast, but before we do, I would like to tell you both. Number one, it's an honor to be in a room with people of your caliber.
Oh,
Thank you.
I'm very honored that you guys even took it upon yourselves to drive 3 hours to come to me. That means a lot to me. And you guys did that just, you know, because you're nice people and good people. I'm so early in my journey. I've only been doing a pod for 7 months, but this is something, this is such a become a part of me. And I love this. And I love meeting people like yourselves. And, you know, my good friend, Kenny Chapman, I got to give him a shout out.
Absolutely.
He's the one that connected me with you guys. Me and Kenny, man, I loved Kenny in high school, and I just love him now. And I love that he got me in contact with people like you. I wish you guys nothing but success in your future endeavors. I love what you guys are doing. I want to see you guys get as big as you want. I think you guys deserve all the accolades that you get, and I think you guys deserve every amount of success. And I just hope it gets as big as for you if you guys can. Before we wrap up, is there anything you guys would like to say?
No, we just want to thank you. And
Oh,
we're, like I said, we're
yeah.
honored that you had us on.
Exactly.
And, you know, it's weird for us because we're usually sitting in that chair.
Yes.
We're usually sitting in that chair, and we're usually the ones kind of asking the questions and curating the story and stuff like that. So, and we don't do a really good job about talking about what we do, because to me, it's like, that's the past.
Yeah.
Let's focus on today.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about today and then what we're going to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, you know, what are you going to do? I mean, yeah, we've had storied careers and we've had some amazing experiences, but, you know, we don't dwell on that.
Yeah, but I can tell you something, like, you know, when I was going through your guys' CVs, I mean, it is impressive. I mean, like I said, there's not a lot of people that I would go, wow. But as I was reading both your guys' LinkedIn's are phenomenal, man. They're on a whole other level, man. And so, Cindy, how about you before we wrap up? Is there anything you would like to say?
Oh, just thank you so much. I think you're doing great. It's really hard to take a risk and do something like this, so you should be really proud of yourself.
Thank you.
I think that you're on the right path that you're supposed to be on, and it's only going to grow.
Thank you.
Exactly.
And we wish
Thank
you
you.
all the success.
And the one thing I preach to her all the time, because when we feel like you're doing so much, you don't feel like, it's like you're never getting forward. You're never moving ahead. Someone told me, I don't know where someone told me or I read it. It's like, focus on output, not outcome.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you get that to that mindset where you're just sitting in that chair, you know, booking guests, writing up the questions, coming up with those, you know, those intros and figuring out what works. And you're going to, you know, listen, you're going to figure out what works.
Correct.
What works for you. And it's going to evolve. Because like when we started our podcast, we did audio only. And it was funny because our first podcast, it was like Perfection Queen here. She wanted to make it perfect.
We're on a flight to Greece, and I'm just like, because we were going to Amsterdam because a film of ours was up for an award, and I stayed up all night doing sound editing on it, special effects, like sound effects, like
taking forever. And I'm like, we just got to get it out.
I wanted to tell the story. I didn't want it to just be us talking.
Yeah.
So we've evolved from that to like doing both, you know, audio and video right now, where we just we send the link to the person, they come on, it's an hour, we've got it down. I don't like, because this is the one thing we pride ourselves. We don't edit our podcasts.
Yeah.
No content.
You just put it out.
We put it out. So there's like, what happens on there, it's all there. We're not, unless there's something like that the platform, like, you know, if there's a whatever swear word catches it and stuff that, you know, like that, because it'll won't let you monetize it or stuff like that. But as far as the content, we don't want to be edited. We want what their people's story, that's what you're getting. Because there's too much of that in the media right now, where they're just manipulating sound bites and putting words in people's mouth. No, we don't put any words in anybody's mouth.
Love it. Yeah. Love it. Well, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Folks, next week I'll have a new guest. Keep watching, and I'll leave you with my quote I always leave you with. Good luck, God bless, and Godspeed.